All right, so this is the beginning of the Urotherapy training course number 27, class number 1. You follow 26 other classes, so good. So in this one, and we're going to be using, this is the textbook.
Mm-hmm.
You have a hard copy. Excellent. Now, this is the original cover. You can see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Amazon thought that I was using their picture without authorization, so I changed it, and Amazon was good. But the reason I brought this up because this is as dog-eared. I've got everything highlighted, underlined, and bookmarked. So we'll do the best to make sure we're on the same page, even though the pages don't necessarily line up.
Okay.
And we'll make it work. So this is the part of the class we get to, and we do our morning announcements, our communion. Did you bring refreshments and golden water?
I don't have any with me right now, but I've been drinking all morning.
All right. Well, none in the house.
No.
Oh, you're gonna work on that one. You gotta get a water closet, start learning to store them up, and get them ready for the protocols.
Okay. I do store them, but they go fast because I work 4 days a week all day and I'm out so 4 days I don't have storage opportunities. And then the other 3 days I'm out about, or I use what I have already. I drink it fast, or I just use some in an enema today. So it goes fast for me.
Okay, you work for someone else at their office?
Yeah.
All right. If there's a way that you can stash a jar under the sink in the bathroom,
I work at a grocery store, so probably not.
probably not.
Uh, I'd rather not
Risk it.
blend those. Yeah.
Okay, plan B is to keep jar in your car.
Okay.
I've got a quart in there I can bring in and use it indoors or outdoors, whatever I want. Plus, I have several of these containers, which you'll learn about in the glove box, in my backpack, in my hip pack. So wherever you go, you've got your medicine with you.
Okay.
All right, we'll get to that when we get to the protocols. I'm going to at some point I'm going to show you all the accessories and devices. Oh, I got to grab a couple more. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're ready to go all out Shivambu jacuzzi lifestyle,
Cool.
this comes with bumps on the bottom for reflexology, and the jacuzzi action takes care of your feet.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna show you that one. And for people who want to do foot soaks on the move, we got plastic shoes.
That's great.
And
I never
again,
knew those existed.
I
That's
didn't either.
awesome.
These Chinese people are pretty inventive, and in here are bumps for your reflexology points.
Cool. You could walk with those?
You could if it's the size, but you see, I didn't. When I asked the guy to send me a free sample so I can use it in classes, we didn't determine the foot size, so this is like 1 inch smaller than I could fit into.
Mm.
So next, if you decide to go that route, all these things that I'll be showing you, we have at the Shibambu Lifestyle Store.
Okay.
And so if you go to this store, make sure you designate the exact size that fits your feet.
Mm-hmm. Is that on your website, Brother Sage, or shimbambu.org?
No, I'll type it in for you.
Okay.
This is at SHIVALIFESTYLE, Shiva Lifestyle.com. Enter. There you go. There's a link for you.
Cool.
And what we have at the store is it's a one-stop shopping store. Now, over the last 7 years since I've been going creative overload with these books and writings and articles and conference calls, we put together the infrastructure for the worldwide movement. So we have a one-stop shopping store. It has resources, connection to books, We've got the water family directory at brothersage.com, so you can locate a teacher or a therapist anywhere on the planet. And that's at brothersage.com. There's actually a link that's called resources. And when you click on that link, a drop-down menu comes down, and at the bottom it says UT directory.
Okay.
And this is for anybody who wants to let their abilities be known to the world as a teacher. And it doesn't matter if you're a beginner, a novice, a beginner, an intermediate, or a master teacher, you can still get listed.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably like to join that eventually.
Yeah, well, when you have enough certainty and confidence, and when you get, one of the great things you're going to learn in this class is how to overcome objections. How to overcome not only objections from the doubters and the newbies who may think you're a little weird, but you've got the answer to, handle all their objections, but also any considerations or concerns that you have about telling friends or family or anybody about this water, this practice. So that's in the book. What else? We're going to do a communion prayer in just a minute here. Let's do that right now. Let's just kick it off. Now, do you have a glass or a coffee cup or jar? And this will be a symbolic gesture.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, copper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
distilled water.
distilled. That's what this is. You're going to learn the 4 types of distilled water and what truly is structured water, which is the best water for humans. Okay, so here's how this prayer works. It's going to come from Healing Water from Within. I don't know if you've seen the book.
Yeah, I've read it.
Okay, this one has recently, this was the original copy that catapulted my career. And, but what happened in between 2018 and 2020, I received a lot more information, a lot more update information, more research, more testimonials. So it got morphed into 2nd edition. And so my publisher says, let's unpublish this. So this one, the original one's not available anymore. But in both books, we're going to have the sacred water prayer from Native Americans.
You have that in the handbook too, right? Is it fairly similar?
Is it in the handbook? Let's look.
I thought it was. Breathe. For
History, dedication.
the Native American water prayer?
Yeah, V1. According to the original book, it's on, where is it?
I take this water of life?
That's the prayer. There it is.
Yeah.
It's in the book.
It's on 14, yeah.
Okay. But what you don't have is the picture of the people all holding hands around the giant drop of gold. Anyway, so here's how this works. Are you familiar with going to kirtan?
Yes.
All right, so you've done chanting before. Excellent. So you have the caller and the respondents. So I'll be the caller. Hold on a second. I'm going to turn off my phone so it don't make it won't distract me. Sure. Are you using, what are you using? Are you using an iPad or a PC?
I'm using a laptop.
Laptop. Okay. So here's how it works. Caller response. I'll say a line and then you'll say it. And at the end we'll go, hallelujah, amen, prost, salute, whatever you want. So as you can tell, there's 2 major components that we're going to learn in this class that make this a very powerful spiritual practice and personal wellness practice. And those 2 components are faith and a good sense of humor. This is why I put jokes in my books, because we're talking about something that to some people it may appear controversial. So we want to lighten it up for them. Okay, here we go.
I always appreciate your humor and
you
all your work.
Thank you. So here we go. I take this water of life.
I take this water of life.
I declare it the water of light.
I declare it the water of light.
As I bring this water within this body,
As I bring this water within the body,
it allows me to glow.
it allows me to glow.
I take this water of light,
I take this water of light.
I declare it the water of God.
I declare it the water of God.
I am the master of all that let me start over. I am the master of all I do and all that I am.
I'm the master of all that I do and all that I am.
So be it.
So be it.
Cheers.
Hallelujah. Cheers.
15 minutes ago, it was a good year. All right. So as we move a little bit further, let me show you some of the collections of books that either I've been carrying on this journey. Some I'll tell you which ones inspired me, that got me to make the jump without having a disgust factor to deal with. Did you have a disgust factor to deal with when someone suggested drink your pee?
I don't think so. I mean, there definitely was like, I never did this before, and this is weird, but
Yep.
I overcame it, and luckily the first time I had it, it wasn't like really acidic, or like at the time, it was definitely like, this doesn't like taste the greatest, but it's like feels intuitively fine. It didn't feel like poison. So I wouldn't say it was a very high disgust level. No.
Good, because everybody's varies.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always the defining moment when it goes across your lips.
Yeah.
Right. So everybody's going, well, what? And you're going to learn baby steps in this class. You're going to learn how to baby step people into going through their whatever association they have with a new association, positive association, a new way to frame an understanding of this water.
Mm-hmm.
So the book that inspired me, the first book that I had was my Bible, was my urine therapy Bible. Tell me if this is backwards or forwards.
This is right. Yeah, I'm reading it correct. The
Okay,
Golden
this was the
Fountain.
original cover. They've changed it a few times since 1994. This is the Golden Fountain by Cohen van der Kroon out in Holland.
Hmm. Okay.
And it had the most thoroughly researched and advanced uh, understanding and science and Ayurvedic connection to it, and protocols and research. And they even had a school in this book. There was a school in Santa Fe, New Mexico back in 1994.
Whoa.
There were several in India, and I can't seem to reach any of them. There was one in England, Australia, Nicaragua, and two in India. This one in New Mexico was in Ruidoso.
Non-existent anymore?
No, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people talking about building one in Nigeria. And when I get to Botswana in February to speak at their conference, I'm hoping that community will stay close to each other and build on that. Maybe create a clinic out there in Africa. We'll see. Very
Mm-hmm.
excited. So that was my Bible. But the book that really lit my fire was this book, which is called The Secrets of Youthing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was written by my mentor in 1994, Leonard Orr. But he ends up passing away in 2019. So his wife gave me permission to edit it, add new content, and revise it.
Which I did read.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, they opened up so much more perspective as well.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
what lit me up about this book? There's me and Leonard. Oh, you've seen it.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
So it lit me up about the book is Leonard is a devotee of Babaji. This Babaji. As am I.
Oh.
All right. This is the Babaji that was also written up in Autobiography of a Yogi.
Yes, that's a picture of Babaji.
This is one of his many pictures.
Wow, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I only know the avatar that's shown often online and in the yogi the biography, the audio biography.
You might have seen. Here's another picture of him you might have seen.
Okay. And I also, I can't say a full devotee, but I have always been curious and interested and very coherent with Babaji since hearing of him.
I'm not 100% devotee. All I know is that Babaji and I are connected. I wrote him a letter and he answered it in 1979, 1980. And instead of having to go to India, he wrote a letter, but one of his devotees had transcribed it into English. And it had so much love and charge from the master. I felt like, wow, the guru comes to you. This is cool. I didn't have to go to India. So that was my start on my journey with him. And anyway, so the reason I I digressed a little bit. Bear with me.
Mhm.
So Leonard was a devotee of Babaji. He knew Babaji as Shiva, right?
Mhm.
And it didn't take me very long to realize that Shiva, aka Babaji, was telling Leonard to tell me to drink my pee. I'm going, it's good enough for him, it's good enough for the Lord of the universe. I'm in.
Mhm.
So I didn't have to go over any discuss factors at all. It's like it's good enough for the Lord of the universe. Well, who am I to judge it, right?
That's an
And so
easy way to just tell everyone that. Like, well,
it was a God thing.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so here's some other books on the subject.
Would you recommend any other of Leonard's books? Just as a
Yeah,
quick
all of them.
digression. All of them.
All of them.
Cool.
Physical Immortality is one of them. Breaking the Death Habit is another one. Go ahead.
That's a concept I'm greatly curious in as well. Very aligned with. Um, it's not mentioned specifically as a word, but uh, as soon as I heard about a long time ago breatharianism, I'm also very aligned with that path and very curious of how they weave together.
Uh, Quite well. I'd love to talk to you about that sometime off at a class.
Okay.
I was recently interviewed a month ago by Justin Carpenter and had the opportunity to talk about physical immortality in front of he had like 35 people on that screen.
Hmm.
So it's a great subject. And you can
Okay.
talk about it forever.
Cool. I think that I'm saying this because of I heard of urine therapy through my curiosity of breatharianism, and I think when someone described it, I was like so curious of like how does this work? You know, like at the time of my concept, mindset of how that would even be possible, and then someone was describing full biofeedback and looping of urine therapy, and that just opened up. It just clicked. I was like, oh, people who do this do this, and like there's a lot more of it, and it just clicked, and then I just the rabbit hole expanded, and I took the red pill, and now we're here.
Now we're here. Yeah, you're coming to find out that all of reality is of the mind, and we're making this all up, and hopefully we're experiencing it through our hearts. And so anything anybody does with all these alternative realities and infinite potentialities, you can play in those arenas if you want to. You can resonate at the vibration of the masters and come and go and materialize like that. It's all available, but your mind's got to be able to hold it.
Hmm.
So
Man.
here's another one of the books.
Oh man, Orin looping.
Oh, you know what OMAD means?
Oh, one meal a day.
Yep. Now his name is David Phillips. The thing that he kind of failed to do was put a dot after D and a dot after R, so people have always thought he was a doctor.
Hmm.
So this is David Phillips out in England. All right. You also have another 1994 book,
Neuropathy.
Urotherapy by Martin Lara. Now we're a little bit different in our approach to healthcare. He's an advocate of heating up urine. He's an advocate of using salt in the diet. I mean,
Hmm.
he talks about all kinds of things, but I agree with most of them, but some of those things I don't. That's Martin
Still
Laura.
recommend reading.
Yeah, still a great book. Now, there's quite a few books that are out on PDF for free that are floating around the internet, and I can source them to you, or you can Google them. Like
Okay.
Water of Life by John W. Armstrong from 1944. Your Body's Perfect Medicine by Martha Christie. That was in the 1990s. Urine Therapy by Beatrice Barnett. Aged Urine, Harry Matadine out in England. He wrote 2. He might have written 3 by now. I'm trying to get him to go to Botswana so to be another speaker. So a lot of these books are on free PDF, and even the Golden Fountain is on PDF. But I have an issue with that, because if the author's still alive, people are ripping them off by giving up their books for free. And I was working with Dr. Group, and he put one of my PDFs up on his website, and he was giving all my books away. He's got a huge audience in the millions. I said, I'm glad you're supporting the work, but you're ripping me off. So he changed it to a link to my book.
Cool. That's respectful. Yeah.
So that's why I asked that. Some of my books are in other languages. We have it in Spanish. It's also in Portuguese, German, Japanese, French.
Hmm.
And as we speak, it's being translated into Hindi. And in a month, it'll be translated into Setswana, which is a African language. They have like 200 million people who speak these languages. So someone
Wow.
said they need to get educated too. So I kept manifesting translators. All right, here's some of I'm going to start asking you questions, but let me just do another demo. These are some of the items, do you have any protocol supplies or equipment?
I have plenty of like eyedroppers and stuff like that. I had one. I mean, it's still technically useful, but the bottom, the cup part, not the cup part, the
trunk
stem,
branch
yeah,
stem?
it broke, and technically it's just shard glass, but like the cup is all intact, so it just may be safe to get a new one. Honestly, it just broke like 2 days ago. Otherwise, I had one.
Okay, we have them at the store. No problem.
Cool. Okay.
The advanced version of doing eye washes, you're going to learn all this stuff, is using swimmer's goggles.
Nice. Is that better than the eye cup?
I
Can
don't
you
know.
just use the?
It's personal choice, not better or worse, but you can soothe and nourish both eyes at the same time. Just fill her up and squeeze it against your eyes.
Cool.
Right? So you can actually not only see through the golden water, which is way cool, but sometimes I feel like wonder what the baby fetus felt like when it was seeing through water world and it saw all this water everywhere. I'm going, maybe that's what it was. Okay, the next we have is collapsible cups to take your golden water everywhere.
Okay.
All right, we got 2 versions. One is the Hideaway, which looks like a small spaceship.
Cool.
All right, and then what this is, you see it's about what, about an inch thick. You can put it in your pocket, hip pack, whatever, and then it expands into 2 versions. They've got the big one that's 23 ounces, and the other one is 17 ounces.
Nice.
And then boom, you collapse it, you put on your cover, and off you go. Now I pitched this company, Robert. I pitched this company and I said, would you make these just in yellow with our logo on it? Would you do that and maybe put our website at the top?
Nice.
They couldn't see the potential. I said, I can bring you millions of new customers, and they didn't get it. Okay, no problem. The other version, and we're working with this company, is the Peace Sport.
Oh, wow.
It's another one of those things. It's soft silicone, and you can expand it. But what makes it so unique is they built this funnel so women can use it as well as men. And they have so much fun making videos. They show these women outside staying there peeing in this cup. So that's the pee sport by pee sport.
Wow, so it's a full-on company dedicated to it. That's awesome.
They're dedicated to outdoor activities and being able to clip your urine in a way that's not really too socially unacceptable.
Mm.
And they built a website page just for me that talks about this is the perfect bottle for urine therapy collection, but they don't mention urine therapy on their website.
Okay.
But you can see why it was just a perfect match. Okay, next we have, you know what this is?
Like kind of an enema bulb.
It's a soft silicone bulb that you find of all places in the grocery store in the children's section for moms cleaning out kids' ears.
Oh.
But when you've done enough urine therapy after a while, you start seeing objects in the store, but not what they were designated for. So this, you can either use it for doing a urine implant in the rectum that'll hold about maybe 2 ounces if you're lucky. You can use it for your ears. You can use it up your nose. There are all kinds of ways. It's called a silicone bulb.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing, which is cool, is a handheld mesh nebulizer.
Oh.
So this little puppy, which is way cool, is going to take your Orin, which you'll put in this, it's like a 1/4 ounce container at the top part, right? So you flip it on and the Orin is transferred through this mesh system, and then it turns it into a vapor, a mist, a fine mist. So this is excellent for inhaling it up the nose, softly feathering it over the eyes. You could put it in your mouth that way, or you can just exfoliate the skin.
Mm-hmm.
That's a handheld mesh nebulizer.
Have you done it with evolved urine?
Mm-hmm. Yep, totally fine. It didn't sting as much because it's in a vapor form.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no longer liquid. We'll go into that when we get to that part of the class. When you get into nose drinking, have you played with that yet?
Yes. Through neti pot, and then just sometimes I just cut my hand and I
Snort.
just snort. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I've done for the longest time, and then occasionally neti pot.
Okay, well, we're hoping to advance you during this course. The neti pot, which always remind me of a small Aladdin's lamp,
Mm-hmm.
um, is designed for draining one nostril into the other. So if you're going to bring it up into your sinus area, into your pineal gland, you're going to have to get really good at using your muscle that's behind your bone right there.
Mm-hmm.
So see, the advanced way is just to drink it right up your nose in a cup, in a glass, in a water bottle. And
Oh, you could just straight up drink it like that through your nose.
exactly. Well, when I get a
Mm.
little more collected, maybe next time I'll demonstrate for you. It's a combination between this muscle right here and your stomach. So as you're snorting up here, it doesn't go down your throat this way. It goes behind the mouth, down the throat, into the throat. And what it's
Mm.
doing is rehydrating the 5 sinus cavities and crossing the blood-brain barrier to decalcify the pineal gland.
And that greatly helps decalcifying.
It not only helps decalcifying, but what it does is it wakes you up really fast. And what I always encourage people to do is carry something with you at all times wherever you are. So when your energy dips and your creativity comes to a stopping point, you go, what's going on here? And you can't seem to get the energy, snort a couple of rounds of that in your head, up your nose, even if it's your hand, and your brain wakes up.
Mm.
So uh, it's better than coffee and it's better than cocaine, and it's a good alternative.
Mm.
Um,
And you could just drink it through, like even if there's mucus and phlegm, you could just drink that since it's in the urine now.
you're talking about mucus and phlegm in the sinuses or in the
Yeah,
urine?
In the sinuses, because like obviously if it moves anything, you may feel like in the back of your throat when it comes in, like anything that's been sticking there. Can you just drink that?
Yep. Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to do what it does to everything. It's going to sterilize it and transform it into urine,
Hmm.
which is one of the properties you'll learn about. Now, did I send you the Shivambu wisdom chart?
No.
You're kidding. Oh, really? Send Robert the chart.
Yeah, I think we just been on, yeah, through text. You just sent me the Zoom line and that's it. Yeah.
All right, I'll get it out to you. I'm going to review what those are. Okay, let's keep going. Now we're going to take a break 2 hours in. So 9, 10, about 11 o'clock. This is called the Nasaline soft
Hmm.
silicone syringe with a plunger and this little appliance at the end. So simply do is you fill up the chamber inside the syringe, point, and squeeze.
Wow.
Right? So this is the fast track to getting it in those areas and down the throat. It takes about 3 seconds with the plunger, and it takes some getting used to. But after I practiced it a couple times, it was like, okay, it goes up really fast, and you don't have to spend time trying to figure out how to drink it out of a cup.
Hmm.
And so they have it for adults and for children. My recommendation, if you decide to buy this, again, it's at the store. If you decide to buy it, this is a commercial product. So they're selling it as an ear cleaning device. Is it ear or throat? Well, whatever it is, it comes with saline solution. So I didn't buy it for that. I threw the saline solution out and kept this.
Hmm.
Like some of the items you find in the store, they have their chemical related solution in there. And even though this has value, the other is garbage. So
Hmm.
another thing that's great to have is pH strips.
Okay. I have some already.
See if you can find the ones that are rated up to 14 alkaline.
Oh, okay.
Most of them go up to 8. And the highest one, which is 14, is ultraviolet. Love that. So these you can get on Amazon. We've got them at the store. Two things you'll want to have around at all times is
Con swab.
cotton
Con
balls
ball. Mhm.
and something like a Q-tip.
Okay.
I keep them in the car. I keep them in my house. So whenever you get cut or scratched or bit or stung or something happens with your external part of your body, your skin, just dab it on. Put it in the urine, dab it on.
Hmm.
As you can tell, I've been in the sun recently.
Hmm.
We some friends went to this place called Secrets Beach on Kauai. We spent 4 hours there just having fun together. Came
Ah,
came back, I was fried, right? Within about an hour or two. The sting, I put on urine within an hour or so, the feeling's gone.
wow.
You don't need to have sunscreen anymore.
I don't use sunscreen anyway. Not for a while.
Smart man, smart man. Let's see, what else can I show you? Now that mesh nebulizer comes with also a face cover
Hmm.
for adults and for children. So this
Okay.
goes into the device and you can inhale it through your nose and your mouth using this guy.
Cool. I used to have a larger nebulizer as a kid, not with your or in with chemicals
Yeah.
for asthma.
Well, before I learned about this, all we had was nebulizers, diffusers, and humidifiers. And so I bought all those and I used all those and it helped around refreshing the air in the bedroom. Sometimes I'd leave it on for hours. Um, and then my son turns me on to the handheld nebulizer and I fell in love with it.
Cool.
So wherever you go, you have this thing, you can, use it. Um, of course, you'll need to get a tub for foot soaks.
That or like the enhanced spa one. They
This
should.
this is either Tupperware or Rubbermaid.
Hmm.
They probably have them in town at the store. Where do you live?
Boulder.
Oh yeah, you'll find them at Target or where. So there's this version which you'll learn about when we get to the foot soaks, and as well as the hand soaks. You can be soaking your hands in there while your feet are in there. And two more important items. You know about our friend, the enema bag.
Oh yeah, have one and use it this morning.
Excellent. Okay. So I don't have to go into detail. They either come with soft silicone or some people get one that's a bucket. You know, you hang up the bucket and use it the same way, but they didn't want anything related to silicone. They think it's rubber. And you saw the shoes, you saw the jacuzzi. Something I keep on the shelf in the bathroom at all times is a 1 quart size spray bottle. And sometimes the urine crystallizes and clogs up the spray top. If it's not clogged up, you can spray yourself where your hands can't reach all over the place. But a lot of times while now I'm a bath guy. Are you a bath guy or a shower guy?
Mainly shower just because my bath is not fully optimal, but it's occasional baths. If I had like a nice big bath, then I'll be more of a bath guy.
Okay, no problem. You can figure something out. So what I'm doing while the bath is filling up, now, if you're doing a full out urine bath, you want 8 gallons of urine stored up, but not everybody has that. But once it starts to touch the water, it sterilizes all the crap that's in city water. Okay, so while you're bathing, you pour some of this in your hand and you can knock out 6 or 7 protocols while you're doing that. You know, it's in your hand. You can snort it. You can rub it over your eyes. You can stick it in your ears. You can gargle with it. You can stick it in your belly button. You can rub it and massage it over your hair and your scalp and all over the place. And you just knocked out 6 protocols. So otherwise you're at the sink, you know, doing all the different pieces of equipment to get it in your eyes and in your ears and etc. Okay.
And a small amount of urine goes a long way when putting it in the bath. If it's mixed.
Oh, with city water?
Yeah.
I've never taken the time to measure like the proportions of urine to water, right? I just believe in my hardest of hearts that this water is being transformed into a homeopathic version of urine. So whether you put in there a quart, if you have a quart or whatever you got, toss it in there and relax about it.
I love that.
One of the things we need to learn, and I've had to help demystify this practice across the planet because too many people are medically trained and oriented and programmed, and doing urine therapy is the simplest thing you can imagine if you can simplify your approach to it. So let me tell you what the Shiva wisdom chart is all about. The Shivambu wisdom chart is the highlights or the bullet points of why this water works and why it's so powerful. So I put it together in a beautiful chart. Somebody made it with a picture of Shiva on one side and then the listing of all the different points. Number 1 on this list, and you'll learn more about this as we get deeper into the class. The first thing on the list that Shivambu, now get used to me using different words other than urine. So I might say Orin, I might say Shivambu, I might say water of life.
Cool.
All right.
I'm used to it.
Thank you. And if you got some that I've never heard of, throw them out anytime.
Will do.
All right. Number 1, Shivambu is an intuitive medicine or elixir. For those that don't like to associate anything with the medical fake association, then they use It's a panacea, it's an elixir, it's a nectar. So what I mean by that is there's a built-in guidance system in us called our intuition. It'll tell you how much to drink. It'll tell you how often. It'll guide you into when it's time to fast, which protocol to grab, whether you can use it around medication and prescription drugs or recreational drugs or not, how to relate to food when you're doing urine, and on it goes. And the reason I keep wanting to teach people that it's an intuitive medicine is so they'll stop asking me how to use it. I can't tell you how many times people reach out. Well, what about this and what about that? I said, what would you think you would do? Empower more people. Okay, got that? Number one?
Mhm.
Intuitive elixir. Number two, because it's an intuitive elixir and because it's so simple, there's no rules, dogma, or superstitions you have to follow to get results. And I'm going to have to, I'll get to a point where we'll demystify the Damar Tantra's teaching about the midstream. You might have heard that before.
Yeah, I mean, I drink all of it
Thank
all
you.
day.
Because that whole teaching is based on tradition and superstition. They associated the urine flow symbolic as a snake. And according to them, the head and the tail of the snake could hurt you. Got that? In the very next verse, they admit that was based on superstition and tradition. But 5,000 years later, people still doing the midstream.
Mhm.
Right? Every drop is sterile. So you don't have to think about that. All right. The second point is Shivambu alchemizes or transforms or sterilizes anything it touches. So here's some examples. So when you're gargling with it, and people say, well, I had something going on with my gums, my tongue, I had bad breath, and I gargled with it, and my mouth feels really clean, then they spit it out. I said, wait a minute. You just sterilized any so-called germ or bacteria in your mouth. It's now been alchemized or merged with the urine. Swallow it. Sterilize everything. If you have a jar and people think that something's going to come in there and contaminate it, I said it can't. Nothing can contaminate the most sterile water on the planet. The only reason you put a lid on your jar is so nothing flies in there. All right. Same with the bathtub. I've already explained the bathtub. It'll help sterilize it. All right. Number three. Shivambu is a universal panacea. What do we mean by that? What we mean by that is that it works no matter what considerations you have about it. And here's some of the considerations that people have about it. And it still has proven itself over thousands of years to still work. It's so universal and so adaptable that it doesn't matter if you use a man's orin or a woman's orin. I've been known to drink my students when we have conventions and we have get-togethers, and it's just lovely to share that. So you can have a man's or a woman's, adults or a child's. Is there a flashy thumb there?
Yeah.
Adult. Wait till you do the floating heart. Oh, shut up. It worked. All right. Whether you use a man's or woman's, adult or a child, a older person or a younger person, a sick person or a healthy person, a different race, could be black, could be Chinese, could be whatever, or a different species. We have lots of testimonials about children that were sick when they were like 9 or 10, and their mom remembered this old wives' tale about putting urine on their children and fed it to their kids, and they recovered. Right? And we got lots of stories about people who put it in their dog's bowl, and the dog got better, or they rubbed it on their fur, or the dog bathed in their urine bathtub, and their hip pain went away. So you see how adaptable this is? So when you get to a point and you're out in public and somebody has a seizure or has a heart attack or has an allergic reaction and there's no time to wait. They call 911. There's no time for paramedics to show up on the scene. Find some way to collect yours and give it to them. If they can drink, fine. If you can inject it in them, it's even faster, because that's faster than the plasma that the first responders give to victims in the ambulance, because ours is concentrated and filtered a million times. Well, there's a section on our protocols you learn about injections.
I've heard of people using them. I haven't went into that realm yet.
Okay, you have to be needle friendly to do that.
Yeah, anything with needles, I'm not sure yet, but I'm open to it.
Okay, well, when we get to that section, I'll recommend some suggestions of people who are former nurses, retired nurses that now do injections for people with such substances as glutathione, B vitamins, vitamin C. There's IV bars in Boulder,
Yeah.
right? I pitched some of them. I said, could I send some of my clients and you put urine in their body? Oh no, that's a liability. I don't think we could do it. But you can find some there was a couple of retired nurses that I knew out there was doing the B12 shots, and it'd be nice to find one that does urine therapy. So they don't have aversion to it. Okay, so alchemizers and transforms, you can use anybody's. Shivambu is an evolutionary or evolving living activated water. As a matter of fact, urine is a distilled water. It's a structured water. It's a bioavailable water. It's a nutrient-dense water. It's ultrafiltered blood plasma water. So that puts this water, which is on this list here, in a category all unto itself. Shivambu is the closest thing you can get to the creator, because if you track back your urine, you'll find out it came from your mom when she shared hers and her blood into the amniotic sac, which you eventually urinated in, and you drank it and massaged you with it, right? So that's what led into your body being born. But mom got her urine from her mom, who got it from her mom, and if you trace it all the way back, it goes to the Divine Mother. How's that for an interesting connection?
Haven't thought about that way yet.
You don't have to do ayahuasca to get this.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
meditate. What?
No, please. I'll drink my Orin then ayahuasca. You know.
Different times.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's in a category all to itself, and we as a human species with our limited understanding of things are trying to do our best to convey what this water is and what this practice is to people the best we can. And people are making connections and understandings faster than I ever did. So it's great to talk about it. So as an evolving or evolutionary Orin, now I'm one of these wordsmiths. I mean, this is what writers are all about. They use words. And so I'm careful about using words that disempower people. It's been a quest and a joy of mine, Robert, over like 18 decades, is to change the human language. And so I was examining and sitting with the word aged urine, aged, aging, losing your power, your potency, getting seen, dying. And so I changed the word in all my writings to evolving urine, evolutionary urine, because it's a metaphor for what we move into becoming as a human, is an evolved soul. So when you collect it, the moment you collect it, it's evolving. And we're going to go over that when we get to the chapter of how do you measure aged urine? Did that ever come up for you?
Yeah. I've heard about 4 days.
Right. That came from John W. Armstrong. So when we get to that class, you're going to find out there's various degrees of measurement from different authors and different urine therapy teachers. And so you'll learn the simple approach. Saturation dosing. Ever heard of that?
Yes.
Oh, you read about it.
Yeah, through your work in Armstrong. Armstrong was the only other book I've read on your Urotherapy so far.
Okay, so saturation dosing, to shorten the teaching here, saturation dosing is a way to accelerate your healing and return to homeostasis. So by including more topical protocols, driving more nutrients into the bloodstream, sending them directly to the organs, the liver, the intestines, the kidneys, the brain, the heart, genitals, whatever, you have a better chance to recover a lot quicker. And then if you build this into your practice, and if you do this every day, then you can get to a point where you're in prevention mode.
Mm. Okay, so it's just immersing yourself, doing all the protocols as much as you can every day is really the saturation. You're just saturating yourself with as much as possible.
Yes. And one of my favorite mantras is drink as much as you can, as often as you can. And if you do this enough times, it feels like we're going to be able to re-experience or recreate our life in the womb.
Mm.
I mean, if you hang out with the breatharians, they'll tell you there's water molecules in the air, and that's where they get their water. You know,
Wow.
their theory is we've never left the water world. So they even would go to say that dehydration is another myth.
Oh, wow.
You know, that was a scary thing when I heard that, and everyone's going, "Oh, you got to drink a gallon of water. You got to have more liquids. You got to have more fluids." I'm going, well, when people drive fast, they don't even go there. So it helps to really examine the theories and the teachings we got on what's considered uh, nutritionally proven for our optimum health. Because my diet is 90-something% fruit, and then I'll have greens and sprouts and fresh juices. That's the rest of my diet. If I have nuts and seeds, they're going to be soaked and sprouted. I never smoke seeds.
Yeah.
And so I got to the point, particularly when I'm doing nonstop fruit, and here in Hawaii, you can get it for free to cheap if you know your ins and out, your ways around, you know who's growing what and what neighbor doesn't want it to go rotten, and you can, hey, can I have some of those mangoes on your ground? Yeah. And so I no longer am neurotic or anxious about trying to meet nutritional requirements every day. And you might have gone through that phase. You know, a lot of people going, well, I got to get my B vitamins and my amino acid and my protein and my vitamin this and my mineral that. Well, with that, not trying to mess with your head, then you move into eating for pleasure.
Mhm.
It's more enjoyable and it's easier to digest. You know, too many people are food slave program. They're slaves to food. They're slaves to food dogma, food rules, and nutritional requirements, and they're a little bit edgy. So we want to keep people off the edge and back into the balance. Okay, here's one more thing, and I think we're done with this list here. There are two more things. There is no incurables. There's no such thing as an incurable disease. If you study the metaphysics of words, you'll find out the word impossible means I am possible. If you've heard that, right?
Mhm.
If you take the word disease, it means lack of ease. If you take incurable and you hyphenate the word, it means to cure within. In, cure able, right?
You're able.
You're incurable. You're able to cure from within. This is what Shivambu was all about. It's the great liberator from people from the medical system, which is being done every day. We've come up with a statistic that there are over 500 million people in 50 nations practicing urine therapy.
That many. Wow.
Yeah. China posted in 2006 that they had 7 million members in their Chinese Urine Therapy Association. Germany posted they had 10. And that's just two countries, right? I'm going to Africa. They said they can pull in 300 and 400 people in 3 or 4 different countries in Africa that they know that practices urine therapy. But you see, they're old culture. They're not new world. You know, India, Germany, Australia, Europe, a lot of these are not the new world. They came from the old world version of humanity. So it stayed with them generation after generation. And it wasn't necessarily written down in books. They just knew the baby's sick, get the baby's soiled diaper and rub it on their body with their baby's urine. So we're going to go over that when we get to the history and how this came to 2024. Last but not least, the only thing you cannot heal is what you believe you cannot heal. It's all a belief system. And every day we see people that heal diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, autism, COVID, Parkinson, multiple sclerosis. Met a gal at the Water of Life convention. She got off her chair in the middle of the conference hall, walked all the way up to the podium, gave a talk unassisted. And most people with multiple sclerosis, their bodies fall apart. And she gave her testimony, and everybody brought to tears, and we cried, and then she walked unassisted back to her chair. So we're seeing everything being healed. There's a growing group of women and now men that survived the jab using urine therapy. So, yeah. And so miracles happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great time to be on the planet.
Hallelujah. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Why do you think I do this work? I
Yeah.
wanted to quit a couple of years ago. I put out enough books. I've been on enough talk shows. And then here comes client after client, request after request. I ain't going nowhere. This is my work.
Mm.
That's what I came here to do.
I'm grateful that you are.
Thank you. Thank you.
Truly, yeah, truly are.
Quite a ride.
Hey, brother, may I make a Shiva break and get some of my golden fluid?
Yeah. All right. Let me turn off the record so we get it. Who introduced you to urine therapy, and what got you started, and how was that first experience?
Mm-hmm. Uh, Urine therapy. I can't
Or what?
I
Was it
can't pinpoint on one thing. I think it was more of my I heard it a little around the time or after, as I mentioned, breatharianism, and I've heard that come in my ways before. And honestly, if anything, all through the hub of Instagram, to be honest. I've followed a lot of people, and it's been a beautiful social hub to explore and discover people advocating for these practices. And I felt immediate intuitive uh like I felt, or I discovered there's a genuine, I use my intuition of what's genuine and not. You have to have discernment on Instagram and any social media hub. And I found a couple people of um Nick Caputo, Cristo, Elite, I think, Chris Manley, Elo Team. I forget. I think he's an active Breatharian. A few various people.
Elatom, Elamine.
Elatom. Yes, yes. Gerald. Plant-based. Yeah, based in
Yeah,
plants.
I got to
So
meet
those
him.
are a few people I discovered, and they were all talking. A Black Airbender, if you know him.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Devon, yeah, all those people I've discovered 4 years ago, and I just like lurked on them for a long time, and then there was a familiar piece through all of them, through this thread, and breatharianism and fasting and fruit, and then also urine therapy came up like in pieces through them. And it just was like, after a while, I just was like, I'm gonna do this. And so it was very collective at that time, slow, but I did it, and it was easeful for me. I was still at a time where I put a lot of junk in my body. I was at a place that was mentally stressed, making a lot of progress, but at the same time, I was very much in a binge eating habit. I was in a very bad place with food at that time. And it's been a journey since and unraveling a little now, but greatly enhanced and I feel a lot better in my life right now, mentally and physically. Though I was really deep in that, and I was like adding this new perspective. I took the red pill at the time,
Mhm.
so it was a lot of confusion going on, but it
Yeah.
felt right. It never had a red flag to do it, and I just kept doing it, even at the times I didn't fully embody it, and it very much learning through you is the energetics of our belief system as well. And at the time, there was a lot of doubt in there, even though I was doing the actions of drinking and applying some pieces, but there was a lot of resistance. Anyway, that's just the surface level of my experience from the first time I did it up until now.
And what year did you start, or what month, or anything like that? A time you know about?
Yeah, I'd say I think 2020 is a safe time that I first started. It was like around the time and right before uh the pajama party, the panorama,
Yeah,
that space.
sci-fi movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Congratulations. Um, has your diet improved or changed since you started?
Yeah, I'm greatly. There's pieces of conditions and habitual eating of like clockwork type eating and around the day, though I've been much lighter and eat a lot more fruit and liquids. Drink a lot of smoothies, liquids. Though I've also seen even with certain better foods, a lot at once occasionally. Again, it's like just the slow release of my past conditions and habits, but I've eaten much greater. I no longer consume dairy or animal because I was omnivore since growing up, but now it's been like I went vegan a long time ago, and then I went back into carnivore or omnivore, mixed a lot of things, and it's been a journey the last year of like now I just don't feel a need of animal or dairy anymore.
Congratulations. There's a lot of people that are still struggling with that.
Mhm.
They they did the same kind of thing. They dialed in vegan, and then for some reason things were coming up, things were being released, and they tried to relate it to their diet. So they got convinced to go back to meat or go back to dairy. And I don't have a judgment on it. People have to figure it out on their own. I actually met this one brother he says he's doing quite well. He lives on raw meat and urine.
Mm.
And I'm going, wow, see, anything's possible. Yeah, I'd like to hear from him in a year from now, see if that's still working.
Mhm.
It's hard, you can't pinpoint what's exactly perfect for everybody, but people find their way. But here's how I like to define human food. They need to have the following requirements for me to really consider them, much less accept them as a true food. They have to have minerals. They have to have minerals. They have to have chlorophyll, enzymes, water, particularly structured water. And I'll explain all that in a little bit. And they have to have vitality or life force. And that leads you to raw foods, plants.
Mhm.
Because everything else has either been cooked, which kills the enzymes. It also pumps it into a more of an acidic or mucus forming state. That's the problem with meat and dairy. Um, or they don't people don't mix it properly because there's a whole science between how to eat according to the enzymes, the composition, the chemistry of the food that allows them to actually work together and be assimilated, absorbed, digested, and all that. If you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend you Google these two phrases. One is food combining chart.
Mhm.
Do you have one of those?
Yeah, I've studied a self-study of Ayurveda. I made the food journey a long time ago, and food combining was definitely a impactful moment when I discovered that. Ignored it for a bit, but now I'm seeing, I planted the seed in myself and realized like, yeah, wow.
Yeah, protein and starch don't go together. Protein and fruit don't go together. Starch and fruit don't go together. Melon should be eaten alone or left alone. And the indication, which tells you right away, is if you have belching and gas and acidic reaction in your mouth. One of the worst inventions on the planet is a sandwich.
I grew up on, many of us have, yeah.
Oh yeah, I did the switch. Oh wait, white bread. But but wheat bread is better, and brown bread is better. I'm going, well, bread is bread. We try to sort that out. Okay, so that's leads you to raw foods.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
mhm.
go ahead.
I'm It's been interesting because I'm seeing more and more of like where my addictions are and conditions with food because I know like long term, I immediately I've been very drawn naturally. I can't explain it. I feel drawn to breatharianism or even just living fruitarian that like was like very inviting, and breatharian and physical immortality, all those topics that blend into each other. I feel called to that, even though I've seen where I'm acting, in the conditions of up until I just turned 34, living young years. And up until this point, I'm seeing the conditions. It's been a long time in other ways of eating and the nutrition and eating food and all this stuff. And I'm like in this weird space where like I I want that, and I know I will be going more and more each and every day and every year. Though it's like very interesting of how I'm still acting with food, even though that's the thing I want. So I know I have to. I'm grieving releasing physical food or like cooked food and stuff like that, even though I'm enjoying it here and there.
I know it's hard to say goodbye to our lovers. I get it. She's been satisfying me and bringing me pleasure for such a long time. I
Yeah.
have to move on. So
Uh,
play with it. When you're fasting, if you do it right, like if you get into doing an Orin fast, the day will go by and you won't even be thinking about food all day.
hmm.
That's what I love about Orin fasting is 5 or 6 in the afternoon. It dawned on me I didn't think about food. I got a hell of a lot of work done, and I just don't feel like eating. So you get to play with that. And when you start introducing new food to your diet, sit with it before you bite into it. Is this really going to make me feel better? Is this food that supports and nurtures me? Is this food for my highest good? If you start examining food, then you get the guidance that says, no, I think I'm done with the cookies and pastas and pretzels and bagels and donuts and fried food and popcorn and crackers and
Childhood. Hmm.
you're done with gluten-free gluten food and GMO food. What
Hmm.
I like to do is sometimes I go into the health food store or the grocery store and I walk through the aisles and aisles and aisles of packaged and man-made food. And I look at these like this is like an old archive, museum from another time in human history. Who eats this crap anymore? And then I move over to the produce section. I'm happy. It's just to see, what still pulls you.
Hmm. Sometimes I look at if I'm in the grocery store, and even going to the grocery store is like a trap sometimes. Depends on what kind of grocery store. But like I'm getting better. It's a practice. It's a living meditation because I'm like going through the aisle and seeing something I used to eat, or I'm like, I like that looks, like I used to eat that. Like some things let me pick this up, and I just like hold it, and then I look at the ingredients and I'm just like, wow, I
Well,
used to put this in my body often, or like as a snack, and like just holding it and then releasing it, and that's like, wow, I did that. Like that's a full release. That was a practice itself. So I'm getting
complete.
better and better every day.
Thank you. And it takes the discernment and the critical thinking to be mindful of that. Right. The other trap is if you should ever go to a potluck dinner. Because you got all
Happens
these
all the
people
time.
you like, and they made the food with love, and I would fall prey to, oh, my friend Indira, she's from South India, and she studied Ayurvedic. She knows which herbs are medicinal, and she puts it into the curry and the rice and the dal and this special bread she makes, and I would like get out of my raw foodism because of that. I go, oh, but that is so delicious, and it's easy to be seduced by flavors.
Hmm.
So
I ate potluck for 4th of July, and again, I'm in the middle of my journey of like really getting to a solid foundation, and then by doing that in the middle of it, that was one of my worst bloating gas. Like it just destroyed my whole. It just was. It wasn't pleasant, and it hurt a lot, and very very unpleasant odor. Brother Sage, and
and have you forgiven yourself?
I have, even though it was an unpleasant experience, it was painful, and also the environment of, just realizing this gas is coming out of me. It smells like a dump, it smells worse than a dump.
Yeah.
And realizing that's you, that's me, that's my mind and body. That's what's happening inside. So it's really clicking more and more. You're like, do
Well,
I really want this?
are you eating it because you think you will desire it and you bring you pleasure? Are you eating it so that you'll get um, acknowledgement and approval from families or friends?
I think
Because
it's more of a connection with
there
people.
is a connection there, and I get it. And how I was able to break free, because for years I would go to community potlucks in Boulder. Wherever I lived, there was a friend and his family. They lived in Gun Barrel, and we'd have potlucks. And I was the guy who made the big mandala salads, these beautiful salads. And then I switched to fruit, right? So here we are at Thanksgiving, and everybody's laid out their traditional Thanksgiving food: cranberries, dressing, turkey, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on and on, right? And I put out a bowl of fruit, and 7 people said, "Can we eat that before we go to dinner?" I said, "You guys go right ahead. And why don't you just skip dinner?" So I found out, and I always wanted to ask people, would you still love me and accept me if I didn't eat what you brought to the meal?
Hmm.
Because that's basically what I'm demonstrating. I bring out a fruit salad, and that's what I'm eating, and everybody else is eating what everybody else is bringing. And there's a bunch of people go back for seconds and thirds, and then there's dessert and coffee and wine. And I'm going, oh boy, I got to go outside. So
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes it doesn't even feel like going to potlucks because they're like a recipe for disaster if you got no willpower.
Mhm.
So congratulations, you've made it through the first rite of passage. All right, any questions?
uh, hmm.
I've studied human psychology my whole life.
Hmm.
It's great to use your body as a laboratory.
That's what I've been learning since my first step with your Urotherapy is experimenting for ourselves. I think that's what like really was a lesson for me.
Mhm.
Um, Specific questions. I mean, I've between what you just mentioned a lot, and I've again read a couple of your books and explored for a few years, but now it's really embodying more. That's where I'm at, and that's why I'm here with you. Of like you're an advocate and you've been living it, and I really want to embody and be an integrity. And I love what you said. It's truly, even I asked you a few questions of specifics, but in the end, I'm reminded of like, oh, it's all intuitive. There's and the saturation dosing really helps that too, of like just drink as much as you can when you can. And I love that. So specific questions aren't coming up right now, though I'm sure I will have them.
Okay, this is such a simple practice that can lead you to a simple and liberating lifestyle that it confuses and confounds people. There are no side effects, no after effects, no bad effects. You cannot mess up this practice unless you walk away from it. Take that to heart. It's that simple. Cheers.
Cheers. Do you know Blue Bottle Love?
No, but is that cobalt?
I think so. It's just blue glass from Italy. I forget. I know exactly where it's from, but it even says aloha.
I like
The
it.
the woman lives on in Maui. It's her Blue Bottle Love company.
Oh,
Blue
okay.
glass.
Yeah.
Caden.
Well, somebody must have cut the bottle down so they could make a glass out of it because they sell the bottles of different sizes here on Kauai.
Oh, cool. Okay. This is she's just been starting this one of just like glasses like this. They're usually larger ones. This is wild tonic bottles, the Jun, and just reused and repurposed.
Right. They
But
softened it. Yeah.
yeah.
So let's go into the book. Class number 1. We got a bunch of stuff to do here, and then we're going to go into the history. Let's get to the very bit. Then we'll get into the history. But first, let's go to page 11 in the old book. But let me tell you the title of it so it'll make sense to you. Chapter 3. What role does faith or trust play in urine therapy?
Oh. Okay.
If you didn't know already, and you can ask anybody who is a Ayurvedic practitioner, they know that Ayurvedic started with Urotherapy. That was the origin of Ayurvedic medicine. And I've got that confirmed from several Ayurvedic practitioners. So it's another good connection for people will go, is there anything behind this? I mean, who else practices? Do you have any science behind it? Well, how about thousands of years of Ayurvedic medicine?
Hmm.
And everybody's heard of the doshas and the body types and a lot of specifics in Ayurvedic teaching. So that's one way for people to understand what this is.
Why has our modern Ayurveda dropped it though? I feel like I've never heard of your Orin therapy in Ayurvedic books or typical modern, because the Ayurveda is very hip, like yoga classes now. It's everywhere. I feel like more people are becoming aware of it, but UT is not mentioned much in it.
Yeah, I would point the finger at the people who are the leaders in these communities and books and stuff. Because if they have an issue or they have a judgment that, it might make Ayurvedic look bad in the modern world, then they'll leave it out of their teachings.
Hmm.
And some people are still honest enough to say, yeah, it is. I just don't I don't talk about it.
Hmm.
So that's kind of why.
Okay.
And every now and then you hear a holy man, a guru, he talks about urine therapy.
Hmm.
Most people have the idea that when Gandhi was in prison, that's what he subsided off of. When Yeshua went out into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, that's what he lived off of. A lot of people see that some of the spiritual leaders and masters already know this stuff. The Prime Minister of India at the time in the 60s, Maraji Desai, right? He's 90 years old. He comes to America. He's on 60 Minutes with Dan Rather, and he admits to Dan Rather, the reason I'm healthy, I'm able to run this country is because I practice Shivambu. And Dan Rather was a little thrown off. And at one point, Maraji says, you want to try it? I think it would be great for you to learn what we know. And Dan Rather says, no, I think it's a thing in India. You guys keep it to yourself, which didn't make him look too good.
Hmm.
So chapter 3 here. Even though the researchers, I'm on like second paragraph, even the researchers are also slowly but unreservedly approving the qualities of UT. Has it occurred to you that Shivambu is your water of personal aliveness and possibly a road to immortality? Now, I'm not going to read word after word after word, but you'll get the gist of what's going on here. Shivambu is healing you or it may already have healed you. Faith, and this is why this chapter had to bring it up, because there are people who say, well, it heal this condition and that condition and this condition and that condition. And I tell them yes and no. If you're not willing to do what it takes to make your changes, if you're not have enough strong willpower, determination, or a strong urge to live, a strong life force, it'll be hit or miss whether you get better. So faith is also known as trust, and trusting the water, trusting the innate intelligence of your higher self, that you can actually recover. Faith that clears obstructions, inflammation, toxins, pathogens. Faith reminds you that you will never have to buy or use supplements or medication because it's in the water. And more people are admitting that they're stopping buying supplements, which is great for them and maybe not so great for the supplement industry.
May I ask a question? Quick question.
Yeah.
Are you completely off? You don't supplement at all besides just fruit and orange and
No, I use and recommend complementary modalities that are either very effective at getting rid of forever chemicals and heavy metals and graphene and all the toxins in the system, or they have nutritional density like raw living spirulina out in Florida, or something that will clean out the intestines and the liver. I'll send you all the links.
Yeah, please.
Hold on a second. Modalities links.
Yeah. Will you text or email me those, or what's easier?
For preference?
Maybe email.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see, urine therapy works, but it's a slow patient route. So the people who are doing, for example, if you heard of the ZenCleanz, okay, so I've been using and recommending that for 3 or 4 years, and because they fermented the plants and the mushrooms and the herbs 3 years instead of typical of 2 months, it's able to not only break free things like mucoid plaque in the small intestines, but pull it out of the body in 24 hours. All right, no intestinal program has ever done that before. They can take out gallstones in 24 hours. They can clear the lungs, lymphatics rather quickly. And nobody's ever done this. This is why their company and their products have gone viral and there's a movement around it. All right, the other one was Masterpiece. They use nano-sized particulates of zeolite, which is a negative cage structure that attracts the positively charged toxins and poisons to the body. It captures it, it encloses it, it bonds to it, and then it releases out of the body. Then they mix it with marine sea plasma, which has 96 known minerals for the human body, and that's left behind to nourish the body. So this is why I recommend these things. Okay, it's a fast track. It's a fast track to getting your body back. And when you get your gut and your liver cleaned out, the brain comes online big time. Because you don't have things in your bloodstream causing migraines and constipation and back pain and a lot of the mental disorders that going on for people, including PTSD and autism and all these things that are brain related, is because toxicity is moving up and out of the brain from your gut and all kinds of places. Okay. So faith reminds you, faith in Shivamba will guide you to choose living foods, lighter foods, less food, or no food without resistance or conflict. Faith in Shivamba clears the mind, so creativity, imagination, and curiosity will reawaken. Of course, not everyone is ready for this leap of faith, which is to begin drinking your pee. Instead of obsessing over taste and smell, Orin is a sample of what's flowing through your veins, and any repulsive orin is a motivation to improve the internal conditions rather than to excuse yourself from not doing orin therapy. Moment by moment, it is faith, also known as trust, that is steadying and balancing you. Faith is guiding and carrying you while you are navigating the mind through its endless stream of ideas and chatter. So what's interesting, it was just blood plasma before it turned into elixir. And most people get, well, plasma is life-giving, and that's what they give to victims in the ambulance on the way there. Why is that any different from liquefied, enhanced version of golden plasma water? That's what we use.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to read the rest of that, but you kind of get the idea that faith is one of the key components of why this works. And when you really get that and you really form a close connection to this water, you'll be giving yourself protocols all day long. You go, well, what do I need right now? I think I'll snort some. I could just splash them on my face. And throughout the day, wherever I'm at, I reach for it in the car. I have it in the backpack. I have it under the bathroom counter. I have it in my office. So, and when you carry it with you, it's available. Like I keep it in the car, and you never know when there's somebody out there that got bit, scratched, bit, stung, whatever it is, and you can be a first aid to them if they're open to it.
Hmm.
It happened. I was giving a gal a foot massage at a festival, and she was locking up her bicycle. She decides to put her hand on this post where she was going to curl the bike chain, and she didn't see the nail. So she puts her hand on the nail, and she moved it off the post. It scratched her hand. I said, if you put urine on there, it coagulates. It slows down the bleeding. It stops the bleeding. She says, that is so weird. Someone just told me about urine therapy earlier today. I said, listen, I've got some in my car. I'll go get it. I'll bring it back. We're putting my urine on her cut and stop bleeding. The next day she called me back. She says, it's starting to heal real fast. Right. So there may be an opportunity that comes unannounced, and you've got the remedy. Pretty cool, huh? All right, any questions about that?
What just the whole topic of faith and trust and the energetics of, the relation with our ore and our water. You were the first to mention that I've heard, because I was already on my journey, and then I discovered you, and then I think it was like some video, and I'm relearning that and coming back to that. This is where I'm at in my phase with my relation with Shivambu, with Orin, is really gaining that trust and relation with it and that love, because I think that's been the missing piece I've had for a few years. It's been 4 years, and I've been doing it, and intuitively feels good, but like nothing mind blowing or like a major shift. And that's fine. It's just, I think there's been a piece missing, and it's been this love and trust and faith and my belief. There's been doubt still somewhere, and up until now, and I'm grateful for that. So this is very.
So let me throw out two little gems for you to absorb.
Please.
You're drinking your essence. You're drinking you. It's the ultimate act of self-love.
Mm.
All right. You're taking in your essence, which appears to be this golden water or this vibrational substance. What the body does is it's got innate intelligence. It's got a built-in blueprint. It knows what perfection is, what a perfect body is. It knows what a perfect cell is. So what it's doing is it reads the plasma, right? The plasma comes out of the bone marrow, and somehow it gets transferred to the system, to the liver. The liver divides all the things the liver is cleaning up. It sends the plasma to the kidneys. The kidneys are reading it. They're profiling it. They're looking deep inside it before it gets filtered by the nephron system. This sophisticated system with 1.2 million little chambers in it, right? So it can tell if there's a threat, if there's a contamination. It builds antibodies. It produces more and more stem cells. And what it's doing is it's taking the best of you. It gives you the best of you. You return the best of you to your body. And listen to this, you become the best of you. How's that for recycling at its finest?
Hmm.
So drink of yourself and you'll live. That was the slogan from the Water of Life convention. Drink of yourself and live. So we're going to go into history. We'll do a little history, tripping through our historic timeline. In the old book, it's on page, what page is this on? Modern Medicine, Modern Science, page 1, chapter 1.
History. Okay.
Would you be willing to do some reading?
Yeah. Let's get here. Yeah. The history of Shivambu.
Please.
The use of Orin for the healing all ailments is traced back over 5,000 years to a god or deity in the Hindu tradition known as Shiva. Shiva represents goodness, benevolence, and protection. Shiva is associated with time, particularly as the creator and destroyer of all things, seen and unseen. He brings creation to all of life as well as destruction of all illusions. Shiva, the lord of the universe, along with his divine partner Parvati, goddess of fertility, love, beauty, marriage, children, devotion, divine strength, and power, is remembered for bringing Urotherapy, Shivambu, to humanity. Their elephant son, Ganesha, is acknowledged for removing of obstacles by many people. The ancient Damar Tantra scriptures teach a 9-year course on how to use Urotherapy to achieve perfect health, longevity, and ultimately physical immortality. That's why the idea of drinking your own water is respectfully known as Shivambu, which literally means the water of Shiva or the blood of the Lord. Devotees refer to Orin as a water of auspiciousness because its benefits have been documented with tens of thousands of testimonials from people across Earth that have healed themselves using their own water. Traditional or indigenous healers in India, Africa, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, and 45 other countries have been practicing and teaching urotherapy for millennium.
Yeah.
To understand the obvious, doctors trained in the Western allopathic tradition of medicine tend to see Urotherapy as Hui. The worldwide water family, yeah,
Just a point here.
yeah,
People say, "Oh, how old is urine therapy?"
huh,
Well, documented history is different than remembered history passed on from generation to generation. So according to documented, written down scriptures, 5,000 years. But if you want to really think it through, it goes back to the first person who urinated, right? Whoever figured it out from watching orangutans drink right out of their penis to giraffes, rhinos, elks. We got videos of all these animals drinking right from their tap, right? So they saw that and go, "Wow, these got pretty strong animals. Maybe I should do that." So there's the unrecorded history. So this is why this is how we can come up with 500 million people.
hmm.
So it hasn't been watered down, no pun intended. So without going further into this,
Mhm.
I'm going to hit some highlights of the historical moments in time. But let me just tell you the word Orin, where it came from. Have you heard of a teacher named Andrew Norton Webber?
Other than just through your mentionings, no.
Okay. I highly recommend doing a Google search on him. He brought distilled water and Urotherapy to the world up until 2012. He organized the Urotherapy conference in San Diego in 2012, and then a year later, he dropped out of the scene.
Hmm.
And you can only imagine why would someone who wants to help out humanity so much disappear. And You know, I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories on this call, but yeah, he disappeared and his wife is still around publicly, but he's out of the public's view. So he talks about the four forms of distilled water, which are urine, glacial water, rain, fruit, and distilled water from a distiller. And why they're considered distilled water is because they have structure. Now you hear people throw a lot of words around. So do you need to check on something?
I actually have I'm good. Yeah.
Was just you? Okay. When people throw words around a lot, I like to make sure people are really clear on what these words mean. So when they use the word structured, or they use the word ascension, or they use the word God, I like to get a common understanding so people don't get confused. So structured means that if you look under a high-powered microscope, like an electronic microscope, you'll see crystalline structures in the urine. You'll see it in distilled water. You'll see it in fruit juice. And this is how Andrew figured it out. There's a woman on Instagram, a former student of mine named Fiona Gardner. Well, she's got a high-powered microscope, and she has an Instagram page called Messages in Urine. And so you can see the beautiful structures and the imagery and the whatever you can read out of those images on her Instagram page. And Veda Austin also was talking about messages in water, kind of like Emoto. He talked about messages in water. And she would look closely. She was one of those people who examine water really closely. So she talks about structures. I was fortunate to interview her a while back. And it would be nice to get Kirlian photography images of urine. You know what that is, right? Kirlian photography.
That's the structured water for photos, like the ice.
No, Kirlian photography is able to capture the auric field, the colors around things, plants, humans, and so forth.
Okay.
I've seen that with other plants, but nobody's done that yet with urine. So if you know anybody that's does Kirlian photography, let me make a note of that.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I got to bring that back up to the public. Kirlian photographs of urine. Right now, I'm working with Dr. Group, Jonathan Otto, and Megan McDonald to do science. We're doing the process of doing a scientific research project that validates scientifically that there are stem cells in aged urine and that it has potential for human health and healing. So we got the funding behind it, and this one naturopath in Canada has been getting us caught up in where the project is. And once that's been completed, we're going to take it everywhere. Let everybody use this for their own evidence that they can show people. Yay!
Mm-hmm. That's a game changer. If the public eye has evidence, the clear research and evidence on that.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are looking for that because they're not easily convinced just because you tell them you're healthier and happier and you feel freer. So back to Andrew Norton Weber. He changed the word urine to orin, O-R-I-N. I give him the kudos for that. He said urine was a word that was developed by the medical industry back in 1917 when the Rockahoos decided to control healthcare industry worldwide and eliminate the competition. You know who I'm talking about. All right. So they went after all the competition, and they either, ruined their life, their reputation, took them out or whatever, and they decided to start demonizing urine. Because people before that, they knew these traditions, they knew this heals, they knew it was good for you. So Andrew Norton Weber said, hey, listen, urine sounds disgusting. It doesn't sound inviting. So he started using the word orin, which sounds softer. It sounds more nurturing. It sounds more inviting. Well, if you go to Wikipedia, this is a fun fact. It's in the book. You go go to Wikipedia and look up Aquaman. Remember that superhero from the ocean?
Yeah.
if you go to Wikipedia and you read paragraph after paragraph, you come to a part where it says Aquaman's real name was Orin.
Huh.
The god of the sea was a pea master. So that's where
Huh.
that was Andrew Norton Webber.
Hmm.
We do have a link if you ever want to have a link that confirms that they've identified 5,661 ingredients in human urine. This came from a university or a government website out in Canada.
I would love
So
that link.
you've not seen that?
Um, no, I think I've heard of it, but I haven't really looked at it. No.
Okay, I'll send it to you because it's good to have it in case you want to share it with anybody. Urine ingredients. Yeah, we even found nicotinic acid in there. And this is why people have been chewing on nicotine gum and nicotine patches so they can protect themselves from the so-called spike, you know what. And so it's already in your urine. There's all kinds of things in there. So let's go back to history. Not following the book. These are just some historical facts that I wrote down. There's various names from different countries. Some call it Shibambu, some call it Oran, some call it U juice in Botswana. They call it U juice. And I asked the gal who I know out there. She says, "Well, it's your juice. We call it U juice. U juice." I started calling it OJ because it was my orange juice.
Hmm.
The guy out in the guy out in India who's been doing urine therapy for 55 years was a great teacher for me, Dr. Radshak Mal. He calls it Loda Cola. In Nigeria, they call it Ito, I-T-O. In Mexico and in Hispanic-speaking countries, they call it Urina. Urina or Urina, one of the two. So as you can see, there's a variety of names all around the world that people know it. So back in the 1400s, since you already read about the Damar Tantras, kind of know how that plays out. And Damar Tantra has this one verse which messed people up for years. This is why people do in the midstream. I know it's later in the book, but I'm thinking of it now, so we might as well bring it out here. There's a verse that says, you want to avoid the beginning and the end because it's I told you earlier, it's symbolic of a snake, and a snake could hurt you from its head to its tail. And then the very next verse, they say it's based on tradition and superstition, right? Speed up to 5,000 years later, we know that every drop is sterile and every drop is precious. This is why folks like you and others don't waste a drop. That's where they came from. In the 1940s, the Aztecs used urine or orin to heal wounds. It was back in that time that in Rome, see the 1400s or 1500s, Rome had public urinals and they were collecting people's urine for agriculture and for laundry and for the clothing and textile industry. And being typical of Nero and the rulers of Rome, they not only collected people's piss, they taxed them on their piss. What a weird time to be in human history. So that was back then. And then in the 1500s, 1400s, we got the Aztecs, they used it. In the 1500s, Magellan, you remember heard of Magellan from Italy, right? So he took his crew of men on the ship and they were going to circumnavigate the globe, or flat earth, wherever you're at with that. And they were going to go find new countries and claim and whatever. He instructed his sailors to drink their urine instead of using seawater. They said, this is going to help you get through all this. So they knew that in the 1500s. You know, you run out of their water supply, you have a water supply. In 1536, there were Egyptian medical texts with over 50 formulas and remedies that included the use of orin. That's 1536. In 1611, the new improved version of the Bible came out, known as King James. Well, I love the Bible, not so much that it's whether it's true or false or it's a psyop or however you view the Bible, but there are metaphysical passages in the Bible that talk about physical mortality. And there's more and more verses in the Bible that describe what sounds just like Shivambu, like orin therapy. And so you'll see these in my writings. You'll see them all over social media. For example, there's one that's popular. It's Proverbs 5:15. Drink water from thy own cistern, and from you will pour a river of living water. Sounds like urine therapy, doesn't it? Right? So
Yeah.
the guys who can see these verses get it in the urine therapy community. A lot of Bible hardcore Bible readers will go, no, you can't take that figure. This is literal. This is the water of living Christ. I'm going, whatever. You know, you can interpret however you interpret. Another one is John 7:38. He that believeth in me will have living waters. John 4:14. But whatever you do, well, okay, I didn't have the full thing written down, but there's a whole lot of Bible verses that describe this practice. And if you dig enough, you'll find it. And I've got a whole list of them if you ever want them.
Yeah, I would love that. And which version of the Bible?
King James.
King James?
Yeah, it started in 1611. Email Bible verses about UT. And this is great for the people who want to put that out there to enlighten Christians. Hey, you know, there's hope for you if you just do what Jesus did. What did he do? Drank his pee. Didn't everybody know that? As you can see, when we go public, we tend to ruffle feathers. After a while, I got used to people not trying to be able to make sense of me. It's okay.
I see why it makes sense that you brought humor. I love it. It's a perfect vehicle.
Yeah, we need it. We need it more than we realize. 1695, there was a UT reference to a book called Solomon's English Physician Book, and they talked about urine therapy in 1695. In 1806, there was a picture. It's one of my books, The Healing Water from Within. Lewis and Clark goes across America, you know, for land grab or whatever they were doing. They go across America and they notice when they stopped at some of these Native American settlements that the men and women, the Native Americans, were bathing in urine. They were bathing their children. They were bathing themselves. They were working with their clothing. And that was noted in 1806. In 1890, there was a book that came out called 1,000 Notable Things. It said urine is a universal and excellent remedy for a multitude of health challenges. 1890. In 1922 was the original book by John W. Armstrong, The Water of Life, but it wasn't formally published until 1944. So this is the turn of the century. He's healing people using urine therapy. Just as the Rockahoohoos decided to control the health industry, he's bringing this out to the public and healing people. And that's why this book became a classic bestseller back in the 40s. And then they republished it in 1972, Water of Life. It is still a great go-to book for a lot of people. Also, 1930s, there was a professor in France who wrote about adrenal and sex gland hormones were present in the orin. 1963, there was a book that came out of India, which I don't have a copy of anymore. I know how to get it. It's called the Manav Mutra.
Manamutra.
Manav. Last word is Mootra. The Manav Mutra. In 1971, hold on, I'm gonna switch to coconut water here. You haven't lived until you had fresh coconut.
Yeah, I had a couple times in Maui during my water fast, but don't have access to it often.
Not yet, but I do have a source, and I'm gonna send you that link. I've
Mm.
got a source from coconut water that is purer than pure. It comes out of Thailand. They have a coconut called a non-hom. It's the only place it grows on the planet. And so they created a whole filtration system so the oxygen, when they take it out of the coconut, it will not oxidize and go rancid and turn pink,
Mm.
right? So what they do is they process it and then they put it in freezer packs. They ship it out to you so you get it in a few days, and it's very fresh and it's sweeter than the Hawaiian coconuts, surprisingly.
Mm.
So in 1971, of all organizations, I never would have thought NASA came out with a list of ingredients found in human urine. They at the time they listed 3,000 ingredients. NASA, go figure, right?
Mm.
1971, the Water of Life book was reprinted, and then what happens was you fast forward to 1994, and this is when all the modern books came out. Martha Christie's book, Your Body's Perfect Medicine, Beatrice Barnett's book, The Golden Fountain, Leonard Orr's book, and all these things came out in 1994. Well, in 1917, now I started urine therapy in 1994, and in 1994, there was no social media happening. There was really no internet, barely started. And then in 2017, I won't tell you the details, but in 2017, I discovered there was a 20 social media platform groups, urine therapy groups on Facebook alone. Telegram started popping up in the last 5 years. Instagram, WhatsApp. And so immediately I get this download. I got to write a book on the subject, and here comes Healing Water from Within. And that just turned my whole career around from being a wellness practitioner to be a spokesperson for Pete.
Mm.
I didn't know I was going to be the pitch man for Pete. I didn't see it coming. So my books were designed to make an emotional connection and a spiritual connection with Oren, and not so much technical information like you find in the other books. Though there's a place for technical, but there's a place for what is it that's going to anchor this practice into people's hearts. And they'll not only want to understand it and use it, but they'll want to be able to, it's an easy way to, they could teach it and introduce it to other people. So that was my MO, and that was my style of writing.
Mm. I enjoy it.
Thank
It's
you.
very practical.
And you might write something one day.
Yeah. This is the only the beginning.
Only the beginning. All right, page 24, which is in the old book. It's a different page.
What's the chapter?
Let me pull this out. Oh, I got to go through all that too. Let me see, where exactly is it? Well, it doesn't match up with page 24, but I'll just go ahead and discuss it anyway. People ask the question, why is the color, the smell, and the taste vary from collection to collection? And it's what you ate the last 24 hours. So if you taste your orange the next day and it tastes salty, or it tastes metallic. One person, one of my students, Jessie, she says, I went to the 4th of July and I had barbecue chicken. I'm never going to do that because the next day my piss tastes like barbecue chicken. I said, there, now you get it. You know, you use your urine as a barometer to measure what works and what doesn't work without having to consult an expert. Well, should I eat this? Should I not eat that? Well, the next day you're going to taste it.
Mm-hmm.
And that got me really clear that I don't need salt. I went through the phases of what's the healthiest salt, and that led me to Himalayan crystal salt. And Himalayan crystal salt is heated and broken up pieces of rock, wrong kind of sodium, wrong kind of minerals. And then that led me to Celtic salt and salt from Norway, the Norwegian salt. Everybody said this is the best structure. Well, when I started drinking my urine, and there's salty taste in it, and then end up talking to one of my good friends, says it's the wrong sodium for the human body. Sodium bicarbonate is closer, but there are sources like green salt and sea vegetables and shilajit that have the right sodium in it. And so I don't add salt to my salad anymore. Nobody had to tell me the good salt, bad salt conversation.
Yeah, it's simplified.
It's simplified. And over the years, you've seen how things change according to the current consensus. 1 year chocolate is favored. Next year chocolate is bad. 1 year coffee is good. And then it's bad. 1 year their salt is on the good side and then it's on the bad side. So you have to work through all that. Drive you nuts.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what affects the smell, the color, and the taste. And if you clean up your diet and you fast and you play with raw foods and you move to try a day or two of fruit, it gets
So
lighter color,
mm-hmm.
right? And it tastes like salad. No, ultimately mine tastes like coconut water. When I really got it dialed in right, you can't wait to drink more of it.
When I drink there's a couple times where I was like clean for like, a few days when I was just drinking a lot of maybe juice or fruit. And it was the first time it hit me. I was like, I taste papaya. My orange tasted like papaya straight up. And I was like, I never knew, like, we all know like asparagus and certain things like you smell through your pee, like growing up, but like it changed that. But I didn't know anything else changed until drinking it and consuming. I was like, oh, I really see the effects
Yeah.
in the urine. And it's straight up like just, I ate like a whole papaya throughout the day and it tasted like papaya juice and it was delicious.
So there you go. You can't lie to the body.
Mhm. And then there's times with processed foods, during my binge eating, I still drank my urine. I didn't like, oh, I'm only gonna drink it when I'm super clean. I know like I've heard controversies of that too. But I was like, I'm just gonna keep drinking. Not as much as I do now, but like I still drank thoroughly throughout my binge eating phase, and it tasted like shit. It tasted horrible. It really tasted not great, but I still drank it, and it over time it gave me that feedback.
Yep. Good, valuable experience for you.
Hmm.
Get that in there. All right. Application protocols, naval soap. We're not there yet. Page 24. Let's go to what's in this water. What's in the water? What's the secret sauce? Chapter 4.
Hmm.
Now we're scheduled to do a mid-class break right around now. You want to do that now or at the end of this hour, at the half hour?
Do we have we're doing another 2 hours?
Yep.
Hour?
We got
Okay.
another, we started at 9, so we got 2 more hours.
Okay. Um, what how do you feel?
I would love a break.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Go recharge.
How long?
Take 10 minutes.
Okay. Cool.
I recommend. Now he was one of these brilliant herbologists and nutritionists. He's from Jamaica. He had, I think he was bald at the last ends of his life. And he talked about Urotherapy, which might have been the reason they took him out. But he was putting urine in his eyes. He was doing eye washes and eye cups. And one day he goes blind. He couldn't see, blah, blah, blah. He kept doing the eye rinses. 3 days later, his eyes cleared up better than ever. And what he discovered is that mucus gets discharged from the brain.
Hmm.
So it made its way into the eyes, which opens up the door for people who are dealing with blindness and cataracts and floaters and eye strain, any eye-related conditions.
Yeah, I have plenty of floaters up until now.
Yeah, and if you keep this practice up, you might be able to throw away your glasses.
I look forward to that. That is a vision of mine. Hair and eyes.
Yeah, stick with it. When you start including some of the topical protocols, things start to speed up a bit. I threw away my glasses when I joined the raw food community in the mid-70s and found out I found the metaphysical connection. I also found out that a lot of eye issues can be corrected with eye exercises. And they came out with the Bates method in the 70s. And they sold these glasses with the little pinholes in it. And people were like exercising their eye muscles and their eye strength. And I threw away my glasses. I was like 22. I wore glasses up to that point and never had them since.
You use the exercises specifically at that point?
I used everything. I didn't even have urine therapy at that time. But everybody was healing everything. We were doing wheatgrass juice and we were doing all kinds of nutritional things from food and from plants.
Mm-hmm.
And people were getting healed back then. As a matter of fact, when I was a year later, when I left the community, I was fasting. What what's the deal? Oh, the community I was in reported hepatitis was going on in the community. It happened and it got reported in all the health. This is Austin, Texas, 1978, right? So all the health food stores were saying, "Oh, we got a couple of cases of hepatitis, a couple of cases over here." There were 55 reported in Austin, Texas. So that means people weren't going to the health food stores. They weren't going to, the juice bar in the community I was living in. So what I was guided to do was to go home. Nothing but the clothes on my back and my juicer. I went there and I told my folks, I'm just going to do yoga and fast on juices. Whatever you do, don't feed me. Well, the minute I got there, they had me tested by the doctor. Doctor says, you've got grade C hepatitis. You're going to be in bed for months, right? 2 weeks later of doing yoga and fasting in the sunlight in the living room, I went back to the doctor. He says, I don't understand. You're healed. You're fine. I said, doctor, I'm 22. I got a life. Go work on somebody else. And I discovered the power of self-healing. Didn't have to deal with hepatitis anymore. So now I work with people with grade B, grade A, and grade B hepatitis, and they're getting recovered with urine therapy and change of diet and so forth. Pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah. Oh.
Right? We're not limited anymore.
No, I was following a young brother, Elijah Barber. His journey was to heal his diabetes type 1. I know he was making a lot of progress. I haven't followed where he's at now, but I know he made a lot of progress.
Made a lot of progress, and he said something at one of our urine therapy conference calls, which I bowed to him because he had such courage to do that. He admitted publicly that he used urine therapy to heal pornography addiction. He was addicted to porn. And I go, God, this guy's got balls. And he said this on an open mic. We got it recorded somewhere. And what that did was not only showed incredible courage, but it opened up the doorway for any addiction to be healed and to be discussed publicly. Drug addiction, sex addiction, pornography addiction, food, internet, people making headways because he came public and said that. Amazing guy, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Still doing retreats and helping people out.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear that.
Me too. So you got your book. We're going to go to chapter 4.
Mm-hmm.
In my original book, it's called What's the Secret Sauce? What makes this stuff work anyway? All right, let's skip down to the constituents. Now, there was a guy in 1975. His name was Dr. Freed. He published a book on urinalysis and clinical laboratory practice. And what he's doing, he's describing what's in the urine, claiming that it's sterile, it's purer than distilled water. And among the many things that he mentioned, some of this list will rock your socks, will knock your socks off. Now, since you know by now that we came up with the proof, there's 5,661 identified ingredients, which means there's more to be identified. There's even more in there, right? They found out like 2 years ago, someone discovered there was gold molecules in human urine, gold molecules in cow urine. What do you think leads to this color and what leads to the search for ormus? It's the alchemical property of gold. It's in us. We are the Goldens, for more than just a good metaphor. Hope you like that.
I do.
There's gold in us.
There's gold within us.
Gold within us. So this list on the next page is just a partial list of the entirety of all the ingredients in the human urine. So I'm just going to read them pretty fast, just so you can hear them. So people who watch this back will hear these ingredients. And many of these people go to the health food store. They need these things because they were convinced by a really good nutritional salesman. You got to get these things. But the trouble with health food stores, I worked at 6 major health food stores in my earlier career. And I learned the dirty tricks of the industry. There's a difference between what the salesman sells the store to put on the shelf, between that and the distributor, and then you've got the manufacturer, and then you got the person who sources all the ingredients, right? So not everything that's in the health food store is truth in labeling on the labels. A lot of the items are synthetic and isolates being sold as a natural product. So here's some of the ingredients that are found in our water. Adrenaline, alanine, albumin, allotonin, which is also found in what plant? What 2 plants has allotonin in it? How do you pronounce it? Allantoin.
Allantoin?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Allantoin. It's found in aloe vera and it's found in comfrey for healing scars and wounds and so forth. So that's in your water. All right, so you got antibodies, amino acids, arginine, ascorbic acid, bicarbonate, which is the correct form of sodium for the human body, not like the rock salts. Biotin, calcium, carbonates, chloride, chlorine, choline, cortisone, creatinine, cysteine, DHEA, dopamine, enzymes, epinephrine, estrogen, folic acid, glucose, glutamic acid, glycine, hormones, inositol, insulin, iodine. One of my students the other day said, where can I get a good source of iodine? They're trying to get it from Dr. So-and-so or this formulator so-and-so. His is better than his. You hear this all the time. Well, his iodine, right? It's in your body. Your body produces it.
This makes the most sense, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'll let you read. But this makes a lot of sense coming back to it. Finding these individual things has been so confusing over years of like what to add this for this healing practice and what source, and this makes so much sense.
Good, because what you're drinking is like a health food store in a liquid form. You're drinking the mother of all superfoods right there. Superfoods. Here's to you, Mom. We love you. So you have lysine, magnesium. You know what magnesium is used for?
I'm not registering, but yeah, I know it for so many things, but.
Okay, Epsom salt is magnesium. I use it to relax in a bath. Magnesium relaxes the bowel muscle, the heart muscle, the muscles of the body. It usually has to be combined with calcium, but it's in there. Manganese, melatonin. Who buys that, right? Melatonin, serotonin. They buy that to relax their mind and their emotions. Methionine, nitrogen, ornithine, oxytocin, pantothenic acid, phenylalanine is used for brain clarity and brain use. Years ago, somebody sourced out pharmaceutical phenylalanine. I was in New Zealand. And I swear I mainlined cocaine. I took a little like a third of a teaspoon, all of a sudden my brain got really sharp. That's phenylalanine, right? Phosphorus, potassium, progesterone, proteins, which is your full range of amino acids, essential and non-essential amino acids. Riboflavin, selenium, serotonin, stem cells, sulfur. All the people doing MSM, organic sulfur, for the nails and for the hair and all that. It's in there. It's in your water. Testosterone, thiamine, tryptophan, tyrosine, urea, vasopressin, vitamins A through zinc. So I listed these because these are the ones that most people can recognize, and that's what they go to the store to buy. And then somewhere years later, they realize they got 30 vitamin bottles in their medicine cabinet. They're expired. They're not using it. That ever happened to you?
Oh, many times. Too many.
Yeah. A lot of people are in that spot. It's the same with clutter we have in our life. Someday I'm going to get to that. Someday I'm going to wear that. Someday I'm going to do this. And my life is very moderate. It's trimmed down. Everything I own is in this room, except for the massage equipment and what's in the bathroom, the car, and the supplies I need to do events and festivals. I can move everything in a small Honda Fit, everything I own. I threw away years of journals, which I thought were going to make me famous. I was going to write books. I threw away sketch pads. I threw away memories and family photos when I moved from Boulder. I got rid of all the pictures of me and my wife and all the pictures of friends and just got rid of, trimmed it down. What would I need? And I can start over and replace everything else. So it's made my life a lot easier. Right? Less you have to remember. Oh, I have that. Where did I put that?
The memory part was the I definitely see myself attached to many things of like the physical memories, and realizing is it bad, am I there's almost attachment of like, am I a bad person to throw away photos or to like reduce, is there, or cards and all this stuff of like, that's, intimate and personal connections with family or very close friends of like, is this really needed? Is there a minimum of like that you always need to have? And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, what about so many other people and masters of just learning from people? Do I really need? Are we in this world and like, oh, there's these things you're always gonna have to have and keep to be a family person or a loving person?
You have to
And
weigh. Nobody can answer that for you. You have to weigh it out. You search your heart and you find out that all those memories are in your memory bank, wherever you keep it. And so when it's time to remember them, it surfaces. My wife called it a memory bubble. It'll surface. And for a while, you get to relive that memory. It's in your cloud.
I love that. If we allow ourselves to tap into that, like our innate iCloud, our innate cloud system within us, the consciousness that's all collective and connected.
Yeah. And so you can downsize anytime you want. Most people things is cluttering up their mind. It's burdening them because they got so many things around the house and they never get to these things and do anything with them. So it's so much easier. A rule of thumb, and I practiced this for years. If you're not doing something with something and a year goes by, get rid of it. If you're not wearing these clothes that your ex-girlfriend gave you and 3 or 4 years go by, get rid of it. But we have to weigh that out. It's like the same with the refrigerator. The stuff that's behind the jar, behind the box, behind the food that's in the back of the refrigerator. It's rotting, it's fermenting, and it's in that someday I'll get to it category. You got to clean out your refrigerator. You got to clean out your toilet. You got to clean out your emotions. You got to do the deep cleanse. So you figure out when you're going to do that or not do that and see if you can just elevate yourself beyond those attachments. All right, so these are the things that are in Orin that make it work. In addition to the above substances, Orin is a feedback machine. It contains broken down products of the metabolism of each of our cells. These particles carry information on the status of the health of each individual cell at any given moment in time. It contains other products made by the body to counteract any ailment. That's what the antibodies are all about. It's a perfect telltale and excellent diagnostic agent. For example, vitamin A is not normally excreted in the urine, but in patients with cancer and TB, large quantities can be detected in the urine. Sounds supernatural, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden it's in there. So, I mean, the body is amazing. People say, well, if I found things in my urine and they found aluminum, or they found this item and that item, does that mean I should not do my urine? I haven't explained this to you yet, have I?
Other than the simple, which makes sense of, like you said, I like the feedback of we get the best of the best every time we like loop. We kind of, I think we're natural filtering system.
Correct. But let me explain it through the lens of the medical viewpoint.
Okay.
Versus the natural approach. All right. So if they go to the doctor and they found some contaminant or threat in the urine, and the doctor says, oh, you've got this, and you have an IUT, and this is in there, and you've got this condition. They found gonorrhea in the urine. They found whatever it is. All the doctors are doing in their parameters, and what they're looking for is to isolate and identify an ingredient only. All right. That's all the information they're digging for. They're not looking to see if it's a threat or it's a benefit to the body. If they decided to dig deeper and look at that, they might have to out themselves because they'll find out that it's medicine for the body, which could threaten their career in the whole industry of the medicine, of the medical community. So what they do is they, like everything else, they keep you at a distance from knowing this stuff by telling you, oh, we found it in there. And then they can put you under spell and go, oh yeah, it looks like you got diabetes and you're going to have to get injections and you're going to be a diabetic the rest of your life. No, we have diabetics that drink their urine. We have people with gonorrhea that drink their urine. We had people who had blood in their urine, recovered in 4 days from drinking their urine, even with the blood in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to understand that this is an amazing chemistry factory that's going on in your body when it becomes urine. Even if you identify it, they're not going to let you know that it's already been sterilized and it's now merged with the urine. It's an alchemical process. It's supernatural. So this, I've been teaching this for the last couple of years, so people don't think that just because they went to the doctor and the doctor said, you got this in your urine, you got to do what they tell you to do. No, that's all they've done was they've given you information for you to decide what to do with it. And I hope people will choose well and realize that this is a sterile product made for you. Composition of urine changes from season to season and moment to moment. Lack of sleep, poor food choices, and unhealthy eating habits, along with grief and unhappy moments, can influence the composition of your urine. Now, nobody studied that. You've heard of the works of Dr. Emoto?
Yeah.
Messages in Water. He put words across the bottle. Peace, joy, harmony, love. Took a picture and noticed a certain pattern that seemed harmonious and beautiful. Then he put on hate and rage and, war. And it was all broken up. It was chaotic images of water. Well, nobody's done this yet with urine. I would love to see somebody experiment that. Have somebody put happy thoughts on a jar and then unhappy thoughts on another jar and compare the difference of the structure that's identified when they take a picture. So it's good to be happy when you drink your pee. It should be a ceremony. It should be a celebration.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in the next couple of pages, there's all kinds of things that's being described here. I'm not going to go into detail because some of these words are beyond my scope of or even reading. Erythropoietin, gonadotropin hormones, collicrane, trypsin inhibitors, all these things that are in there are in there, and some people can understand what those are, some of those ingredients. Urea, which is, everybody seems to know urea is in the water, is a component found in the water and is the end product of protein metabolism. Urea dissolves fats and other body secretions and is finally released into the urine. As an antibacterial agent, urine prevents the growth of tubercular bacillus and other pathogen. Uric acid is similar in action to urea and has strong antibacterial properties in addition to controlling cancer-causing substances. Urea happens to be one of the products they use in cosmetics and beauty care products. Now, you may have you heard of murine?
Murine?
Murine. It's a product that's been around for a while, and it's from urea. If you take the word murine and separate M from the rest of the word, you got M urine. Right? So there's a lot of beauty care products that come from human urine or from pregnant horses' urine. But since they're clever salesmen and they don't want you to catch on that there's urine in this product you're slathering on your face, they disguise it using a term called carbamide. That's their chemical term, or their whatever scientific term for urea is carbamide. So if you decide to go to the store one day and flip around bottles and look at the ingredients list and you see carbamide, you'll know, right? Here's the two sources where they get the urine from. Do you any idea where they collect so much urine for this industry?
Animals?
Well, keep going.
Doctors?
No.
No, I don't know.
Where do people pee a lot?
Oh, really?
Porta potties.
Whoa. Wait,
Next
that's
time
all mixed with things.
well, next time you get to use a porta potty, this started in the 60s, and I didn't notice it till I got into urine therapy. I would go to events, a farmer's market, and a festival, and there is the standing side urinal, and then there's the seat, the toilet seat with the blue dye in it.
Yeah.
Well, if you pee in the side where the standing side is, you'll notice it doesn't land in the toilet. You don't hear it. You don't see water drops. It's in a separate compartment. So these guys cut a deal with the porta potty people that they get all the urine that's collected from these porta potties.
Huh.
These are businessmen. They'll look at any angle. The other source is pregnant horses, pregnant mares. They get urine from pregnant horses.
Why pregnant horses?
They claim it's more beneficial, or there's more life force. I don't know what it is. But the dark side of that industry is they continue to keep the female horses pregnant. You know, they get them pregnant, they steal their urine, they get them pregnant again. Every time they have a calf or whatever baby horses are called. All right, so there's sources where they get their urine.
Mhm.
Urine becomes turbid, cloudy, or hazy when you leave it for a while. This is because when enzymes in the urine changes urea into ammonia, urine becomes unstable and strongly alkaline. Now, you might have seen it in some of your water, and people ask the question, is it contaminated? Why is it floating, or why is it sinking to the bottom of the jar? And what they're looking at is this transformation into this alkaline substance, which is basically turns the stem cells, white blood cells, antibodies, all these nutrients. It kind of looks like starter kombucha mushroom.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of it especially aging.
Yeah, I mean, it's not harmful at all. A lot of people just stir it up and they drink it and they apply it. And those that still haven't understood what this is, they strain it out.
Mm.
but every part of it is beneficial.
It reminds me of something. I'm not sure if we're gonna have a specific area of talking about evolved orin, but okay. It's just on my mind. May I ask it, and then we could table it for another time. But just
Yeah, we can go into more detail, Nate, later. Go ahead.
okay. I found mainly, yeah, evolved orin that's been there for a while, and sometimes it's super super potent, like very potent, and like stings even just by smelling it. And obviously it just mixed things that I've eaten and stuff. Who knows if that adds to it? Though I've noticed with aged orin, when I gargle it and use it for oral use, it will be able to. It literally removes my skin, old skin and dead skin, from my tongue. And if I gargle with it enough, it literally, if I did it long enough, I think it would strip away my entire old skin on my tongue, and mouth, and it would probably reset it, but it would make my tongue, my taste buds, it's all raw. I literally get that every so often when I use that. Have you experienced that? And you know what that is? Because I think that's a mind-blowing thing that allows. It literally takes off my old gum skin and the skin of my tongue. You'll see it raw if I swish it enough.
Yeah, it sounds like it's taking out the dead cells.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe
Have you
you're
experienced that?
no, I haven't experienced it.
Whoa. It's literally like if I do it and stick out my tongue, you'll see the redness around. I'll take the edges off first, and then like in little strips of chunks of skin are floating. I literally can just spit it out or swallow it. But like you'll see the redness of my raw taste buds in like my tongue. It's incredible. It's like a reset.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And do you want to keep doing it straight evolved or diluted with fresh or distilled water?
Do
Just
I want to, knowing that?
yeah, maybe
It's very potent. I think it's beneficial of just doing it straight raw. I mean, like just like it. Either or probably works, but I think I'm very curious of going longer with it and doing a full reset of my mouth. I haven't done it yet because I just kind of went back into eating, and it's very unpleasant when you eat shortly within that day because your mouth and tongue is raw.
yeah. Uh, I don't sense that it's hurting you. Uh,
No.
you may want to, like I said, you may want to dilute it.
Okay. But it's
Um,
incredible. Like I think it's a great application, and I'm curious of testing it more for consistency reasons and exactly why. But that's to my experience. When I swish with aged orange for long enough, it'll peels off old skin in my mouth.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's one for the books.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Um,
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought maybe I was like, this could probably be a common thing for aged orange. Okay.
well, I may have to pose a question to the community,
Yeah.
see what kind of feedback we get.
Cool.
Or if you're on any of these platforms, feel free to post any content. Did I introduce you to the Shivambu Hut?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the website, shivambuhut.org.
If you go to shivambu.org,
Yeah,
there's a link to the Shivambu Hut. That's our social media platform that we built.
that's right. Hmm.
It's a free membership. There's currently 1,350 members.
Hmm.
It's a great way to read and exchange content.
Okay. I am on that. Yeah, that's how I found this. I just don't go in on often previously, but I'm going to be immersing myself more often for sure.
Nice. Nice. Okay, good. So these are the places where I get feedback
Okay.
if you need to. Fortunately, when I came to Kauai, what endeared me to this island is like within a week, I met 5 people who do urine therapy.
Hmm.
Right? now a year later, I've met 20 people who do urine therapy, and a half a dozen of them already knew who I was before I got here. They already had my books before I got here. I'm going, it was destiny. I was supposed to move to Hawaii. One guy was so impressed, he bought all my books and came to hug me. He came to meet me in person. Sign these books. I just bought your books. I want to meet the author. Oh, cool. So yeah, it puts you in an interesting position when somebody knows you off of the internet.
Hmm.
All right, so this is all about the secret sauce, what's going on in our water. And without going into the details of all these other ingredients, which I started to talk about, you can read that when you get a chance, if you haven't already. There's all kinds of stories floating around where guys that were trapped in a mining accident. This one guy, he drank his urine and he lived, and he told his kids and his family to drink their urine, and they didn't, and they died. There was a story about this guy who fell while climbing rocks, and his arm was trapped in between rocks, and he had to like chew off or cut off his arm, whatever it was, and he drank urine and he lived. I don't know what he did with his beat up hand.
Aaron, the guy, yeah, who his hand stuck in the boulder, made a movie about it. I just met him at a sweat lodge in Colorado.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he knows about urine therapy.
Wow. Okay. I didn't read his book in detail, so that's awesome that he does.
You're familiar with Gun Barrel?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the guys who runs and put together our nonprofit organization, shivambu.org, he lives in Gun Barrel. His name is Christopher McCore. And he was part of our original core. We had meetups at the Boulder Downtown Library for about a year or two. We had as many as 8 to 10 people show up. Of all the rooms we could reserve, we reserved the El Dorado room.
Mm-hmm.
As you're walking the front door, you walk right to it. And you know what El Dorado translates in from Spanish to English? Gold. It's the gold. So we had a core group of people. At one point, the Westward magazine reached out to me and did a phone interview. I still have a link to that interview. And then Channel 7 and Channel 9 drove up from Denver, and they videotaped us once at the library and once at my house, doing Tai Chi and teaching protocols and kidding with the cameraman and the journalist to drink theirs. And that was an interesting video because Robert, when that was all over, when they put it on their website,
mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't know that 30 seconds at the end of the video, they bring out the doctor to demonize what we were doing. Oh, these guys are wrong. They're in a cult. They're off, blah, blah, blah. Well, what they didn't know is that since that's been up for the last 6 years, it's had close to 80, 90, 100,000 views, and it's helped the cause.
Hmm.
You know what they say, no news is good news, or bad news is good news.
Mm-hmm. All news is good news.
That's exactly what happened. And I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. And we built up. Christopher is part of the group. Indira Gupta is part of the group. Therese Nichols is still around. And there's probably 8 to 10 people that I'm aware of that are still there, but I left, so I haven't kept up with the community. At one point, and I do have this video on YouTube, I got a permit from the city of Boulder to set up and host a table in downtown Pearl Street. And I went out there, I don't know, you may not seen the video, but I went out there with 3 students. One was filming. We had a table set up with books, handouts, bumper stickers, all kinds of stuff. And in 4 hours, we had 35 people show up and only 3 hecklers. Right? Now, everything I've been doing over the last 6 years is for teaching purposes. When I was teaching, the whole idea was to get people offline, to take it to the streets where people need it. The people who are, they don't do the internet, or they're not informed of what's going on. And so that's why I went out on the streets. I had nothing to lose. I had my confidence and certainty at an all-time high. I'm going, hey, let's go to the streets. Let's get a table. So at some point, I plan to do that here.
Hmm.
And you find out which people come out publicly and in a safe environment, like a public table, they'll admit that's what they've been doing, but they didn't know who to talk to about it. It was very thrilling.
That's having that connection, in-person connection. I think more people open up that way, for sure.
Yeah, you're welcome to take up where I left off.
Yeah. Did you still want a while ago you spoke about wanting to someone donated to print a bunch of your handbooks. Did you still want them distributed in Boulder at all?
What
Is
I'm
that
doing, the deal I'm making, I've got about 150 books left. I've already passed out about 100 of them. He made 250 books, and that's the second edition of the Healing Water book. What I'm doing is I'm asking $11.11 to cover the shipping from Hawaii.
Mhm.
It's almost like getting the book at half price.
Yeah.
Some people have bought 6 copies, 8 copies. I've shipped some to North Carolina, to Arkansas, to Illinois. And so that's one way to get them in. Well, the original idea came because I was putting books in the kiosk in front of the libraries.
Mhm.
I submitted to the Boulder Library. I submitted to the Kauai Library, but their system thinks that's not appropriate subject matter. I'm going, oh, so there's no free speech in a library. But yet they have pornography books for young teenagers in libraries, Barnes and Nobles, right? They got stuff I wouldn't even read, but they had a problem with urine therapy books. But they have the kiosk. You know what a kiosk is outside the free library?
Yeah.
You'll see it in some of the neighborhoods around town.
Mhm.
That's a great place to put them in there. So you want to get your hands on some of my books, you know how to reach me,
Mhm.
and we'll spread the good news.
Okay.
All right. Okay, the color, the taste, the applications, the body, mind. Many water brothers and sisters, this is a heading. Just past all these ingredients, it says Orin is the best and last supplement that I will never buy.
Hmm.
Many water brothers and sisters call Shivambu and know it and trust it because it works. The way to know for sure that Shivambu can be an answer to your health and wellness takes discipline, takes commitment. Not only will you see results soon, you'll be able to live a long, healthy quality of life by keeping this up every day. This is not a been there, done there modality.
Hmm.
A lot of people tried biofeedback. A lot of people tried conscious breathing. A lot of people tried meditation. A lot of people tried urine therapy. And then they say, oh, yeah, I did that 3 years ago and I stopped doing it. I'm going, well, you haven't done it long enough to know what it can do. I mean, the guys who meditate, they meditate for 10 years. The guys who do these intense spiritual practices, they maintain it year after chanting, year after year after year after year until they master it. And then it's second nature to you. How does Orin affect the attitude, the emotions, your behavior? Because of all these ingredients, it balances and improves one's attitude while restoring better brain health. More people that you talk to who do this practice will tell you, for some reason, they feel more calm and relaxed, particularly when things would normally trigger them and upset them.
Mhm.
Not a bad side effect.
That's seen as a stabilizer for sure.
Yeah. And it keeps you going all day long. Thanks to ingredients such as serotonin, melatonin, oxytocin, magnesium, B vitamins, DHEA, which is and then human growth hormone, people feel more calm, more present, more patient, more safe. It's almost like if you've ever seen iconic pictures of masters and of Jesus or Yeshua, whatever you want to call them, they always have a golden aura and golden ring around their body in their head. And sometimes I get that visual that when I go out public, I've got the pillar of protection or the armor of God around me because I have P in my system a lot. And it's something we need to really take a look at, because with all the crazy stuff going on in the world right now, and all the mind controlling going on, and all the EMFs and all the fear people are generating for themselves, you got to be able to walk amongst them without being affected by them. Are you able to do that?
Doing better. Still catch myself for sure.
Yeah, well,
and yearning for, you know.
Yeah. You'll get better at it, because what people really need, if you ever decide to step up and become a teacher, the first thing you have to be is calmer than they are when they meet you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be more centered and more present than they are, because when they come to you, they're out of balance. They're anxious, they're nervous, they're scared, they're jittery, and you don't want that to come into your field and affect you, so you don't lose your peace of mind and ability to stay focused and guide them. So you gotta practice stillness. This is what meditation is about, and whatever it takes so you can be calmer than they are. It's like a martial art.
For sure, 100%.
You ever heard of Aikido?
Aikido, yeah.
One of the basic tenets of Aikido is if you want to beat a battle, win a battle with an opponent, bring him to center, and they forget why they came to fight you. All of a sudden they go, well, what am I doing here? I think I'll go now. Have a good day.
Yeah, that sounds like
They work with their energy. They worked with their energy, and they found a way to get the fight out of people.
Oh, I didn't know there's a, yeah, I know there's an energetic, that virtue of Aikido.
Yeah. And maybe that was one of the secrets of Bruce Lee. Are there any exceptions? Next page. Are there any exceptions to who can benefit from Shibambu? The answer is no. It can be practiced by anybody. Young, old, baby, sick, healthy, without any expenditure, and without a little basic knowledge. With a little basic knowledge. It does not produce side effects, after effects, ill effects, generally unavoidable with the use of medications or surgery. AUT are fast, inexpensive, harmless, safe, and simple to administer for any chronic or acute illness without the help from any doctor or medical profession. Now, I also answer that question yes and no when people said, will it heal everything? And as I'll keep pounding into you and to the students, is the secret to achieving health and designing a wellness lifestyle that'll carry you through the next 100 to thousands of years is to bring the balance of the 4 pillars of health together. When we're going to study that when we get to that chapter. And those 4 pillars are pivotal for you to be in balance and for your body and your mind to work. And those are mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual, some call self-nurturing, self-love. As a wordsmith, I changed up the words because some people have a polarizing charge on the word spiritual or God. So I just call it self-nurturing. So those are the exceptions. If you're just drinking your pee, expecting to get it all cleared up, but you don't change anything else in your life and your lifestyle, it's like a Band-Aid. It's hit or miss whether you're going to get better. And those are the people say, oh, this doesn't work for me. Did you change anything? No. Well, think again.
Yeah. That was my first few years.
Yeah. So there's more to this this path and this practice than just drinking the water. Shivambu devotees are healthy people who rely on UT to remain healthy, whereas sick person can be free of their challenges promptly. UT is self-evident, self-contained, and reliable source of water of life. Note this, if they continue to destroy our food supply, as it looks like they're attempting to do as a way to get rid of us, if they take out our food supply, you have 2 choices. Learn to identify plants in the wild, medicinal plants, edible plants, fruit, And remember this, as long as you can cup your hand and pee, you'll make it. Because you got food in your hand. You got food in a container. You got food in your bladder.
Hmm.
So that's a trick of an immortal. They can't take me out as long as I can pee. You know, they're not going to put a tax on peeing, and they're not going to say, oh, you can't do that. There's a restriction. They may create 15-minute cities, but they won't tell people you can't use your body for healing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not even gonna go down the what if bad scenario.
Good.
Grateful for our own healing centers.
Yep. We're perfect just the way we are. All right. So here's the question. Can pets be helped with urine therapy? And what do you think your answer would be?
I mean, I've read a little about that before. I mean, if understanding of universal application of what you even mentioned before, anyone could benefit from any urine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pets are no exception. They're living beings.
Yeah. Now,
It
can humans? I could easily see. Well, I think I know the answer. I know the answer. But can humans benefit from animal urine
Mhm.
if ever needed? Obviously, I don't think the cases are slim, but still.
Okay, let's spread your mind open a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's a word in India called gomutra.
Mucho.
They get it from the sacred cows. Cow urine
Mhm.
is used for centuries out there. They also, in countries like the Arabian nations and in Pakistan, they use camel urine,
Mm.
right? Some people have used goat urine. There's a woman who healed herself. I think her YouTube video is still floating around. She drank her dog's urine.
Huh.
It's interspecies. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We just haven't, thought about that. But I mean, there's this one company that I got connected with. They sell camel urine, they sell camel milk, they sell camel cheese, and they find that it's been very therapeutic for their culture for centuries. They have camel farms in the United States. They got camel farms all over the place to collect their urine and their milk.
Yeah.
So, we just haven't been trained to know that. Now, a friend of mine went to India to hang out with Ella Tom.
Mm.
She goes to study with the breatharian. While she's there, we're communicating back and forth. I've given her a copy of one of my books. She knows I'm into urine therapy. She sends me a bottle about this size of gomutra, cow urine. I said, how thoughtful. Thank you for thinking of me. I took a smell of that camel urine. I went, whoa, that smells like the floor of a barn. That stuff is rank. It was awful. I drank it. Oh, it tastes like a barn animal peed all over the floor. And I decided then and there I wasn't going to drink it anymore. So I used it for topical and I fed it to the plants. And I'm sure it's really cool with the guys in India, but it ain't my thing.
Mm.
I'm not against it. It just didn't register.
Did you sense anything different from it that it allowed the body from a external source of urine from an animal? Did it?
I couldn't tell. Maybe I was still having to, process the yuck factor. But 6 months ago, one of my associates, Doc Mike Wood, toured out in Chicago. Now he's been doing urine therapy for 25 years. He just came across the source of camel urine, and he sent me a 2-ounce dropper bottle. Smells like camel urine, tastes like camel urine, and I sleep better. All you have to do is take 3 drops of it. That's how concentrated it is.
Hmm.
But I'm not going to run out and buy camel urine. I got a supply that's endless.
Mm-hmm.
So, does that answer your question about different species?
Yes. Yep.
Many researchers have tested orin recycling, have proven it works well with animals. Some enlightened veterinarians have used it at clinics to treat by administering orin orally to our precious pets. And we have lots and lots of testimonials that come out about pet owners. Some have dogs, some have cats, some have guinea pigs, some have parrots, of treating them with their orin. A friend of mine likes to do orin baths, and she's got like 30 gallons stored all around her house. I don't know how she pulled it off, but she would take an orin bath. And when she would go to the kitchen or another part of the house to get something, she noticed that when she came into the bathroom, her pit bull was swimming in the bathtub, drinking the bath water, playing in it. And after 4 days of this, the dog's hip pain was gone. The dog had hip pain. It was hurting. It was limping. And after 4 days of bathing and drinking, and now she puts orin in the dog's water bowl and it laps it up. She's got to put in 2 or 3 different servings of orin. Her dog totally knew what it was. So animals are more smarter than we can give them credit for.
Huh.
I can tell you're getting a lot of ahas in this class.
Yeah, it's good. It's great. Amazing. Hmm.
We're doing really good on everything. There's chapter 5. What diseases can be remedied by orin?
All of them?
All of them. One thing you got to remember, and you're going to learn this in this class, is that when people go to a doctor, we're going to have to put his doctor name in air quotes. Go to a doctor. I'm trying to do it in code to you, brother, so that Facebook won't take this off, or Rumble or YouTube or wherever this goes. What they do is they diagnose and prescribe. They look according to their education only, right? They look at what the body looks like and they come up with a name. You have diabetes, you have cancer, you have blah, 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 blah. Well, what happens is it puts a spell on the client. And once they have you in their web, they can sell you on anything. They can sell you on surgery. They can sell you on drugs without your consent, without you even thinking about it. You're going, oh, they're the doctor. They're the expert. And according to Don Miguel Ruiz, have you ever read the book, The Four Agreements? All right, great series of books, Don Miguel. He says that the practice of medicine is black magic. Is that they put you under a spell, put you in hypnotic state, and then they do what they do. And with more and more people being disillusioned by the medical cartel, the medical industry, this is why urine therapy is becoming more and more popular, because people are looking, they're giving up, they're feeling desperate, they're looking for alternatives, and urine therapy is showing up on people's radar, especially on social media. So we're getting more and more people getting involved with this journey, this path. Those guys are helping the cause. And people are tired of being made sick or made dead by that profession.
It's a simple path.
It's a simple path, but people have to get re-educated or unlearn what they were taught was real, so they can listen to their body and know the ways of nature.
Yeah, the few people that know I engage with orin and drink your orin, they feel fine with, like there's a safety of it. Like they understand that I do it, and they've maybe a couple times heard of it. But then there's some people, they just like, I know you do it, and it's curious, though I'll never do it. Like I'm not, that's not me. Like you could do that. That's all. I'm glad for you. I'm happy for you, but I'm not gonna do it. And yeah, it's interesting.
Don't give up on them.
Yeah,
they're
it's
gonna
one
watch
new.
you. They're going to watch you to see if you get better looking, better, healthier, and still, have a good quality life. They're going to look at you. Now, unfortunately, my wife, back when I started, she thought it was My thing. That's your hobby. You do that. I'm not interested. Well, had I had the confidence and certainty then that I have now, I could have saved her from dying from cancer. But I didn't know then what I know now. All I know is I read a couple of books, but I didn't have enough experience to convince her. And so we still have opportunity to save lives. You know, people just open up their minds a bit, they might hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I talk to people, I don't vary one bit. They'll get that you're freaking serious. You're serious about this, aren't you? Yeah. I've got more confidence than most people. I know exactly what this is. I know exactly how it works. I can hook you up with thousands of people, millions of people that are getting results. And you're sitting on that defining moment of whether you're going to trust me and drink your pee or not. Right? They're in a pivotal decision-making moment. And what you'll learn in this book when we get to that chapter is baby steps. How do you get them from, oh my God, it's that? You're going to ask me to drink what? To, well, maybe you got a point there. I'll teach you how to go from one association to a more positive association to a point where they've figured it out and you can cut them loose. And that's good to know when you have people who are really hurting and they notice that you're doing well. What are you doing, Robert? What are you into? Well, I drink my pee, doesn't everybody? Well, you may not be that blunt about it, but yeah.
We'll get there. Yeah.
We'll get there eventually. Do you mean that even a diagnosis is unnecessary when you're using Orin therapy? The answer is yes. Diagnosing any disease is unnecessary. UT traces out the disease in the manner that police search for a thief who's in hiding and then shines a light or turns him in. Now, whether you're using medical devices, I just added this note in my book, so it won't be in your book. Whether you're using medical devices, kinesiology, which is muscle testing, or intuition, these are all subjective, right? It's like germ theory, medical theory, gravity is a theory. All these things are theories. But when you have a direct experience of something, you don't need science and evidence behind it. You already know.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason we're bringing out scientific evidence and people have been researching, doing deep dives in social media and Google, we found scientific evidence that goes back to the 1900s, right? But this was suppressed. People don't know this stuff. And that's just for the people who don't trust you. When we get to the chapter about handling objections, you'll find out most of the things they throw at you is because there's an unconscious mistrust of authorities. And so your job is to comfort them to know that you're not their authority and you're not crazy. And perhaps we were lied to among everything else. So it's nice to know, well, somebody got it right. And the millions of people who do urine therapy got it right. So you're in good company. You missed the play on words. You get the play on urine, good company. All right, can you give an example? Let's clarify the point by illustrating a historic fact. Perfect health is essential in yoga. Otherwise, concentration is disturbed by body disorders. Even mild attacks are likely to disturb meditation. Therefore, it's essential that a practitioner of yoga be free of illness, physical troubles. The mystics of India used intuition or wisdom and found out that the sure cure of Orin was remarkable for everything. Question: is it a wonder why the philosophy that was so beneficial and trusted has been kept a secret for so long, up until now? This old philosophy and cure never disappeared. It has been all around us and it still is, but our modern prejudice mentality did not allow AUT to be understood or discussed up until now. Insects, birds, fish, quadrupeds are already using this instinctively, intuitively. If you go to YouTube, and we've got this on the shibambu.org site. Orangutans that are peeing straight up and drinking out of their own tap. They're drinking it off the tap. All right. There's pictures of elks behind their legs. The stream is going through and it's reaching their mouth. Giraffes are bending over and catching their stream. We've got all this. Giraffes, camels, reindeers. It's been posted on YouTube. So I think that's how humans figured it out. They study nature. They study all kinds of life forms. They figured it out.
I think my first introduction, now that we're talking about it, is actually probably seeing an animal drink their urine.
Yeah.
The first exposure of like seeing some of these videos online as like funny or something strange. I was like, huh, this animal is drinking their urine naturally, like intuitively.
Yeah.
And
What
it
does he know?
Yeah. And I think that planted a seed over time, and just it was like, well, it's an intuitive act. We don't even need these names for any of this. It should just be we're doing it. We're living it.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's deconditioning.
Well, exactly. This is why I like the Course in Miracles, because it's all about the unlearning. It's not about anything new can be learned, but when you unlearn everything that was not real, then the truth rises up and you go, oh, it's really simple. Love is encouraging us to be loving again. It's bringing up anything unlike itself to heal. People are either saying, I love you, or I'm scared, help me. And it helps me to demystify the human condition, to make it simpler to understand. That's why I've been a Course in Miracles student since 1980. I still look at the books all the time because you get new insight.
I have it. I haven't done a deep study on it yet.
It starts off by telling you that miracles are natural. It's a natural state, and miracles do not have an order of difficulty. There's no said this is man-made concepts. We give meaning to everything. The Course in Miracles says nothing means anything other than we assigned it a meaning to.
Mm-hmm.
So some people say, well, there's a difference between healing a cut finger and manifesting $1 million, getting your ideal relationship. Well, who made up the order of difficulty? We do. They call it a miracle, but it's just a return to the natural order of the perfection of who you are and your mastery. So keep that in mind next time things don't look like they're.
I love that. Yeah, things don't have to like, oh, I have years of healing process to be done, or like, my healing journey is 20 years. I've definitely heard of like, it's as long as you want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, you can heal something overnight if you're really focused and that's your intention. And so whenever I have a consultation with people, that's one of the questions I ask them all the time. Would you be interested in healing every condition today? Would you be willing to are you open to having a quantum session so we can collapse the so-called timeline that it takes for your body to process this out? Because if you do what the masters did, all they did was shifted someone's perception of their reality, shift their perception of themselves, and they align with their true nature, and the world says it was a miracle they were healed. Jesus never claimed to heal anybody, in case you didn't know this. He helped their mind to shift perception. I know they wrote it up because people need a savior. They're not going to follow some guy who's a carpenter and, he speaks Hebrew and he travels the world. They want somebody who was healing people. Or did I burst a bubble? Hope I didn't offend you.
No, not at all.
That's what the masters do. Like Babaji, for example, you go to visit Babaji, he's going to bust your case open. This is what a lot of gurus do.
Is there a living incarnation of Babaji now? Is that?
The devotees of Babaji say he's still around. He's about 9,700 years old.
I know he's an immortal, and he like he's still physically here. But is that his current known form?
It may or may not be. There was a rumor passed away that in 1984 he went into samadhi, he went into bliss, and he dropped his physical body. A couple months later, people in Australia saw him. He ended up in the United States. Leonard Orr saw him floating around in a baby body inside this room where he was teaching, and that got Leonard to drop everything, grab his staff, and go to India.
Whoa.
So immortals, they're operating from fifth dimension and higher. They can pop in and out of form anytime they want. But their presence never goes anywhere. I mean, I can be in an altered state where I'm doing healing work on my clients, and all of a sudden a cobalt blue orb shows up. It's either Babaji, Saint Germain, or my I am presence. So other dimensions can cross through the veil and communicate with you without plant medicine. So I would give you a yes on that question. Any questions so far?
Nothing additional to what we've already just discussed.
Okay. Just for point of reference, we've got about 29 minutes, 28 minutes, something like that. Every student seems to be different when I tell them how long the class is. Some of them have said, hey, I got to get to my grandbabies. Can we stop the class early? I have other people say, oh, I forgot I have another commitment and I stopped the class early. If you ever feel that, let me know.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm planning around where if we set those days, I think it should be fine, but I will definitely keep in mind as things flow for the day, but I'm committed for those time slots.
Thank you. There's wiggle room if you need it. So our next class is the 18th, 19th, and 20th.
18, 19, 20. Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I don't have to change anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. All right, so we're in the chapter 5. Research and studies. All right.
Actually, I do have a question. Quick.
Yeah.
Have you experienced a quantum miracle for yourself? Like anything very sudden and the most rapid healing for yourself? Just for experiencing wise of just passing that on verbally. Have you what to that extent? And then also have you done extensive or long-term Orn fasting yourself?
I've done 1 to 2 day Orin fasting. You know, at some point I'm going to do 3 day, 7 day. I don't know if I'm going to do what Dave Murphy did. He did 30 days. I love Orin fasting because late in the afternoon, I noticed I didn't think about food. And then you can go to the rest of the day going, oh, I'm not really hungry. I've been drinking my food all day. And it gives you incredible strength and clarity to keep going all day without having to stop and prepare and clean up and do anything around food. I've noticed my gut get better rather quickly, particularly when I'm drinking a liter of it. Back pain going away. I'm still working on the buzzing in the ears. I don't know if that's related to EMF exposure because I'm on the internet a lot. But I'm sure that's going to go away anytime now. So the answer is yes. I notice when I wash my hair with it, my hair gets darker, which is way cool. It just gives me more endurance than I had before. I can keep going. I'm like an ever-ready buddy, ever-ready battery. I start at 5 o'clock in the morning and I go till 8:30 at night. 8:30, 9 o'clock, that's when I go to bed. So when you get into where you're living off creative juices, create, then what you have to do is get good at energy management. So twice a day, I take a 20-minute meditation / nap and discharge whatever I need to that I might accumulated from clients and from the world, and then recharge and come back up and then keep on going. So that's something you learn to do so nothing builds up inside your body and zaps you of energy.
Yeah, thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. Some of the most powerful things you can use to clear yourself is the elements. Fire, water, earth, air, spirit. Why do you think I spend so much time at the ocean? What you didn't notice, I don't know if you noticed, but my energy shifted after we took a break because I'm surrounded by, there's a router on the other side of this wall. There's telephone lines that border the entire perimeter of the house. There's 2 5G towers 10 houses away. There's all these things that go through me. The moment I step outside, I don't feel it anymore. Right? I didn't go in buying all these EMF protector devices and a Q-link and all this other stuff. All I know is if it don't feel right to me, I don't feel like myself, I'm in the wrong environment. I'll go outside. And then what I do out at the beach, out at the ocean, is I'll mentally release everything that I've been building in my body, any frustration, any anxiety, any concerns, and you send it way, way across the ocean. It's like a meditation. I send it across the ocean so the ocean can cleanse me and purify it. And the ocean contains negative ions and plasma. So it feeds you with the sea breeze. And if you every now and then, I just take a sip of the ocean water and it helps.
Mm.
Plus, if you give yourself time to lay on the beach and lay on the ground, you'll be grounding.
Mm.
I discovered that if you lay on a sand dune, this was like 4 days ago. You know how sand dunes go down at an incline?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So at the beach, there's places where the ocean got too high because it rained a whole lot in 3 days. And it started carving the landscape of the shoreline and it left dunes. So what I started practicing is reverse gravity, putting my head down toward the ocean and my feet up on the top of the sand dune, and got the blood going into my brain again. So nature's a good teacher.
Oh. Mm.
Make sure you get plenty of barefoot walking time every day.
That's a great reminder.
These
Yeah.
guys get a workout
Nice. Mm.
and they're healthy and they're strong and they're clean. So these guys, what's neat about Hawaii is there's only like one store I've ever walked into that got upset by being barefoot. I can walk barefoot into a bank, a library, a church, a grocery store, but when I went into Wally World, they said you've got to wear shoes. I said, okay. So you can go barefoot every day here.
Wow, in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Cool.
I wear it if I go into a government building. I wear shoes if I go into Walmart, but I don't have to wear it into the bank or the library or the church because
Yeah.
they don't look at your feet.
Mm-hmm.
They go, hey, come in, use our services. We don't care.
Mm. Yeah. And the I know the reasons and for safety too, but it broke my heart. I work at a sustainable grocery store. I mentioned to you a Nude Foods, and this mother came in and her daughter didn't want to come in because she didn't want to wear shoes. And the mother was like, I'm here so my daughter sees me. Ask you. She wanted your answer. She was like, she doesn't want to wear shoes. Can she wear shoe? Can she be barefoot in the store? I had to say no. Like in Boulder in the store, things break and everything. And I understand. I mean, in deep down, I want to say, yeah, go free, girl. Like do your thing. Be a little kid. My inner child was like, man, be barefoot. I love being barefoot when possible. And it just it clicked of like, man, I had to say no to this little girl who just didn't. It's so cute. She didn't want to come in the store. She wanted to be barefoot. She didn't want to put shoes on. Anyway, that was just like a fun. It was like a yeah, it was a good moment to reflection on. Wow, I have to say no to that.
Yeah, well, they're concerned with liability.
Yeah, I get that.
All right, well, maybe another store for the kid. They'll get better results. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe not grocery store where things can break, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they might have done that at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. Who knows?
Yeah.
So this chapter that we're on right now, and that's going to be maybe our stopping point today, is research and clinical studies. Everybody drank their urine while growing a body in the womb of their mother. And if you ask enough people, you'll find out more and more people have a memory of that, which may sound surprising to you, but people can remember it being in a water world with their mother's connection with the umbilical cord. They remember drinking the ore and they remember bathing in it. They remember that life. And so it's not a big a stretch to them. Oh, so it was sterile and it was safe and it nourished me while I was in the mother's body. But why is it not sterile and safe when I'm outside of my mother's body?
Mm.
Nothing changed. It's just a mindset. So I'm glad that that comes up in conversation on social media.
I think people don't think about that often.
Well, yeah, well, bring it up in conversation.
Hmm.
I mean, these facts stimulate memories and help shift the collective consciousness, the agreed upon reality. The first step was the formation of mother cells, the heart, brain, kidneys, bones, basic organs, nerve cells that receives and transmit, and above all, the coordination between sensorial organs and the balance of genetic information, etc. Inside the mother's womb, we are in complete peace, comfort, and harmony, getting ready for the outside world. A human's perfect time on earth may just be during that period, the gestation period. There is no human on earth that has not taken his or own urine. In our first 20 to 30 days, we will start peeing into the amniotic fluid, which, by the way, before we started peeing was consisted of mom's urine, mom's blood, her oxygen, and her energy. Right? And then after 20, 30 days, when our urinary tract is developed, we take it from there. What's going on here? What's going on? All right, where am I? Through the umbilical cord, the baby does receive special nutrients such as immunoglobulin, if I mispronounce it, excuse me, and vitamins, but most of all, oxygen from the mother. When the baby hits age of 5 months, they urinate 400 to 500 milliliters each day inside the amniotic sac. Between 8 to 9 months, the baby urinates 20 to 30 times every 24 hours. Wow. 98% of it is water, 1% is elements consisting of cells, filaments, and another 1% is made up of more than, and I changed the number to 5,661. When I first wrote the book, we only had 3,000. Interesting. Of healing chemicals, elements, substances in the form of ions, which are electrically charged atoms. Powerful substances found in milligrams carry the genetic information and energy of what works well and what does not in the body. A fetus swallowing his urine is not only sterile and safe, it's essential for proper biological development. A decrease in fetal urine or urine production or excretion can result in a reduced amount of amniotic fluid. The urine a baby produces in utero doesn't pose any risks, even when the fetus consumes its piss. It's not only normal, but healthy for a baby's body to run organ systems functions, as well as develop swallowing, breathing, and other actions needed for thriving. You do know they debunked the germ theory 5 years ago.
officially debunked? Or
Well,
what?
I don't know about officially, but people like Dr. Tom Cowan and other high-profile nutritionists, naturopaths, came out publicly and said the germ theory, including Louis Pasteur and all the diseases that we've had from the swine flu and all the way up to today's modern fake-demic stuff, isn't real.
Hmm.
It's a result of what's coming off the cells in the body. So if you're concerned about going public and you don't have a thing over your face and you might catch something, you can't. It doesn't work that way. If it was real, right? It doesn't jump from body to body. People concerned about this so-called S protein, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
just, yeah, it's another fear tactic to keep people away from each other.
Oh yeah. With when it comes to people who did or did not, now there's this thing that that protein people were worried about still post.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Hmm.
another way to sell fear as well as to keep people hooked into medical programming. And I noticed it divided up a lot of friends and a lot of family members because there were those on one camp or the other camp. I'll wear the thing, I'll take the thing, and I got to stay at a distance from you. I'm going, are you nuts? Give me a hug. So, yeah, I had endured that. I lost quite a few friends during that first couple of years. So hopefully that didn't happen to you.
It definitely brought up some interesting conversations, but gratefully no major splits in family. My family understood, but I didn't partake in that, and I'm grateful they understood, even though they all did partake.
Yeah, and you didn't get sick.
Mhm.
Excellent, excellent. Babies can actually hear more than we realize. Babies can actually see light starting at age 16. Their eyes are not fully formed until week 20, but they can actually detect light, particularly if the mom's belly is outside or near a source of light. They'll pick up a flutter of activity. This will start to train the eyes for seeing. Orin is part of the beginning of life, and we literally grew up with it. I've moved ahead on the page.
Mm.
It's built into our nature. It's a wonderful cycle of life that should never be interrupted. Nobody can live without water. That's why it's a sacred element. Nobody can live without air. That's why it's a sacred element. No one can live without fire, which includes the sun. That's why it's a sacred element. And nobody can live without taking in the Orin from when they're in their mom. That's why it's a sacred element. I really love to talk about the metaphysics and the spiritual side of Orin when I'm talking to people, because it's amazing how much people really get what this is about.
Mm. That's what opened up to me recently, as I said, the energetics and like the spiritual side to it. Just the last year, it hit me of like there's something deeper here than just the physical. Oh, I'm drinking my urine. That, as you said, just drinking it alone without just like it's drinking a soda. You're just drinking a juice or whatever. It's the action, and you're digesting it. But if you don't truly have full belief and trust in yourself and the process and the energetics of it as an element, sacred element, sacred ritual or rite,
Yeah,
that's what's opening up so much to me right now. The relation, all my relations to everything I do and act and say and be, and Orin is part of that.
yeah. And this is why when when myself and other people they're about to drink their Orin, they pause and appreciate it before they even put it in their mouth.
Hmm.
May this water, I mean, you can state your intention for your healing. You can state your intention for your relationships, your prosperity and abundance, and infuse the water with those prayers.
Hmm.
Thank you for this water, that it gives my body exactly what it needs at this moment. and it makes the correct balances change, restores my health, and brings me to a state of wholeness and a state of health that I've never had before. So, cheers. Now, when we get to the, see what you just did? When you get to the oral use of this water, I talk about, and wrote it in the books, 4 different ways to take it orally. Drinking, gargling, swishing, pulling. So I've gotten in the practices before you swallow, swish it around your mouth. You see? You already knew this. We don't normally do that with our juice or our water, but with this reason, I'm going, I'm not in a hurry to swallow this.
Yeah.
Particularly if you've got it just right and it tastes good to you. So,
Yeah, I'm interested in more pulling too. Obviously, when I have more time to just pull, like instead of oil pulling, but orange pulling. And I'm curious of I want to restore all aspects of my body and mind, and but oral health
yeah.
took a dip the last few years, and now it's a matter of pulling on my pants, you know, taking on the responsibility and loving myself, and seeing where that could go.
There you go. If you ever decide to pick up journal writing and you want to document your journey, it'll not only give you insights, help you formulate, different ways to use the protocols, but anything you do is historic for the whole worldwide movement. And it's great when people bring some of their personal experiences to social media, because there are things that people have been struggling with or that people never heard of before. And here comes someone with a testimonial, says, look what happened to me. Oh, well, I'll try that. So if you ever want to do that, it may be the workings of a new book.
Okay. So be it.
So be it. So be it. So this is the last chapter we're going to do today. That was all about research, evidence, science. Regardless of Oren, I'll read the last 2 paragraphs. The public and most practicing doctors today consider Oren to be nothing more than a body waste. But many medical researchers know that in reality, Oren is an enormously comprehensive and powerful medicinal substance. Now you get to read how many scientists and doctors know what they know, but haven't told us about the amazing curative effects of Oren therapy with its anecdotal stories of healing and survival. Regardless if Oren is being generally ignored, ridiculed, or written off as another theory, people are learning the truth and reading healing stories that are taking on significance that not even doctors can ignore. And I would venture to say that there's more doctors than we realize that know this can heal you. But since they are obligated to the big pharma and to their practice and to the system, they keep it to themselves. Because they don't want to lose their reputation, their practice, or their income. They tell you can heal yourself with your Oren. You don't need them anymore. You can cut off your relationship with your doctor, so they don't want to mess that up. So
One thing.
last anything you want to say before we stop the recording? And do you want to talk about something that we can't talk about with the recording on? Because some of the classes, they like to do that.
If you have a prompt for that, I don't have anything on my mind specifically, but